Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner. I'm here with Matt Murray.
Hello.
Sean Bell.
Hello.
And James Farley.
All right.
It's not as fun without a big, massive audience cheering.
It's not the same, is it?
It's not the same.
No.
Once you've had that hit, you can't go back to the norm.
It's hard to go back to
silence.
Yeah.
What a week last week, eh? It was pretty good, wasn't it?
It was incredible. I couldn't believe how many people showed up.
It was nuts. I mean, when we saw... people, our Patreon supporters, we won't go over what we did on our Patreon show this month.
No, you got
this
paid
month.
for that. That's premium
That's
shit.
right.
That.
Well, no, what we did is that we sort of recorded our sort of pre-match meeting the night before the live show, and we put that out there. And we was saying we were worried about the stage being out on the show floor, and that's why we were shouting, because you can't hear each other when you're up there.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to hear each other, let alone what people are saying from the audience and stuff. So we just upped the energy levels, too much maybe, but it felt good at the time. Well,
because some people who were there were saying that we were really loud through the speakers, but that's not our fault. That's the sound guys.
Yeah, no, but let's not slag the sound guys off, because they were tomboys.
Yeah, no,
but they had to get involved between us and security, Sean.
They did.
I think we owed them everything.
They prevented a legitimate incident. So,
and that's how it'd be known. But it weren't the only time we were on stage. I mean, some of you, I guess, if you don't follow us on Twitter and stuff, won't know that we were on stage before that at the Cane and Rinse indie competition that they did. It was indie game competition, and and there was a little surprise planned, wasn't there, Matt?
There was, wasn't there?
So I was I said that I'd do it. So I went up on stage, and there was 4 contestants. It was me, Big Boy Barry from the Videators. If you don't know what that is, Google it. Andy Hamilton, ex Midnight Resistance, and the developer guy. I can't remember this bad in it. I don't know his name. And then we all got introduced to stage, and then Paul, who was running the event, Paul and Chris, read out an email. And I thought it was going to be Darren Gargett. I genuinely thought it was Darren. And it said, I've wanted to be part of this competition. This is my calling in life, blah, blah, blah. And of course, it was our own Matt Murray walking on stage. Tell me the story, what the organisation that went into this.
So obviously you heard us ages ago, and I was like, I'm in but having me say yes or no. And then you had said yes, and then I'd talked to Paul. I think he messaged me saying, "How about you come on, but as a secret guest?" I'm like, I don't know. Well, would that work? And then we discussed it a bit, and then I was like, "Yeah, go on in." So that's when I said in our WhatsApp group, "Yeah, I'm not doing it now. You do it. I can't be asked for that."
Yeah.
And then, but I've been in constant communication with Paul and also Chris O'Regan. We had a conference call in my kitchen on the Monday to discuss how I should come out on stage, what should be said.
You had a conference call in your kitchen. You invited them up to Leeds.
No, it's a conference call. So I was in my kitchen.
Oh right, yeah, of course. I
didn't say meeting, but yeah.
Right.
We got buffet and they got a lot. Yeah, so we discussed what could work, and then we just said let's just try and keep it simple. He reads out a little message. But I had my own surprise on top of that, which meant I had a lot of T-shirts on. So it's double stress, because one I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to go up on stage and try and be entertaining.
So how many T-shirts did you have on? Just so that let the listeners know.
I think it was 6 or 7.
Right. So you did this. You got ready.
Well,
did you get ready at the expo or?
Yeah. We'd already been. This was the Saturday, so Friday did the expo, and at Saturday I was like, I'm gonna have to just find a reason to take a bag. In that bag was loads of my T-shirts. I didn't want to wear them straight away because I knew it'd be really hot in there and traveling. And I was like, I'm not doing that. It would kill me. So I said, I'll just bring my bag for water and that. None of you guys.
This is, I find that hilarious because I'm not saying that I'd be any different, but it's one of those things that in your head you're like, oh my God, I need a reason for a bag. Like, why would I even question you bringing a bag with you anywhere?
I didn't even
because
notice.
I had nothing. Like the day before, we had all our luggage on us. There's no reason for me to have a bag at all.
I would not have asked that.
I mean,
Matt.
here's how attention.
Anyway,
Here's how much attention I was paying,
anyway.
Matt. Like when you went up on stage and the first T-shirt came off, I was just like, "Has he been wearing those all morning?"
Yeah, same here. That's what I thought.
Yeah. So I was like, I had it all written down, like plan a case. So go here, do this, and then you and I, Sean, were also seeing Cyberpunk at 11:00. And I was like, okay, what the hell am I going to do? Am I going to watch that? Because that's a 45-minute presentation. Am I going to go after that? Then say I've got to go to the toilet, run to the cloakroom, get changed, if I have my bag back with me at the live show, the 12 o'clock, the Gain and Rinse thing, that's going to be suspicious.
Yep.
So,
no, it isn't. No one gives a shit if you've got a bag with you or not.
I was hypersensitive to trying to make it seem like nothing was off. Anyway, so before Cyberpunk, I had gone to the toilet, put my 7 T-shirts on with my shirt over the top, and I was thinking, I wonder if Sean might mention anything, but thankfully it didn't look too different.
Thankfully, I'm incredibly
Sean
thick.
Sean and James didn't know. Right,
No.
That's we should make that clear. Sean and James didn't know about this either. Right, go on.
Yeah, so then Sean and I went to watch Cyberpunk, and I was there sweating my arse off in that theatre. It was already quite a warm room anyway, with 200 people watching.
I thought you were just excited, mate. I thought you just.
But I had 8
Were you
T-shirts
sitting
and a
next to him,
shirt.
Sean?
Yeah.
So when they were reading the emails out, did you say anything like, "Is a shoe, Matt"?
Oh, no. Sean stood up by the camera, and I was next to James, actually. Yeah. The funny thing was, so I had, quickly rushed to get changed, and I saw James and sat down behind him, and then we're talking about it, and James then sat next to me, and the games had already been announced at that point. I think actually they got announced on the Thursday, but they were being displayed on the screen, and I was like, James, Geometry Wars.
So weird.
Yeah, Geometry Wars. What sort of stuff would you do, James? You're like, what are the tips and strategies for that game?
Tips. He was trying to get tips for how to play the games. He was just
that's funny.
He was like, so James, what do you think of Geometry Wars? If you were to do this, how would you approach it like this?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Trying to have some sort of help, and then and then Paul read out the message, and then
did you not say something, James? Did you not say something to Matt while he was reading that message out?
No,
you didn't clock it was him either.
It went quite quickly, the whole thing, and then when it got to the T-shirts thing, I was like, "It's Matt," and then he'd already stood up by that point, and it was.
Yeah, at that point, I'd always stood up and had my shirt unbuttoned, and then I chopped it to the ground, and then ran on stage with my 8 T-shirts on. Although at that point, no one really realised until it became apparent after every time I was playing, I was taking my T-shirts off and chucking them into the crowd.
So this is my favourite story of probably the whole weekend, actually. So Matt, after every round of this gaming competition, Matt suddenly found himself in. I don't know, trying to steal my thunder or whatever.
I mean, stole the fund of stolen.
No, it wasn't, Matt. No, it wasn't.
We'll get to
that. He would take a T-shirt off, a TCGS branded T-shirt off, and chuck it into the audience, right? After the whole thing was over, I said, that was really funny, Matt. Well done. That was really good. I really enjoyed that. And he said, yeah, one thing's annoying. I didn't get any of my T-shirts back. I went, Matt, are you fucking kidding me? You're at an expo. You're chucking a branded T-shirt into a crowd. What do you think was going to happen?
Yeah, that really backfired. Because it was just ridiculous that someone would take the T-shirts off and chuck them into the crowd. I was basically chucking them in like it's a 1990s Radio 1 roadshow.
Okay.
That's a really dated reference. But, but now I was thinking, I'm sure they'll probably just leave them because I warned them.
Matt, you said you chuck them into the audience like the Radio 1 roadshow. Do you think on the Radio 1 roadshow, after the show, they went, can we have those T-shirts back, please?
No, but those T-shirts aren't worn by people on stage.
I mean, the thing... They don't know that, do they?
The thing is, people in the audience or people passing by or whatever might have just been like, Oh, well, it's branded, so he's probably got like hundreds of these. He's probably just paid a few quid each for them.
No, I'm not being funny,
like,
Sean.
yeah.
There's not even, you don't even think about it. Someone on stage chucks a t-shirt out to a crowd. It's yours.
No,
that's
that's what I mean.
the rule.
That's what I mean. Like, no one will have stopped and gone, "Hang on a minute, these might have cost him £18 a piece."
See, that was the weird thing, because I was sitting there just thinking, man, Matt's being really generous here. Like,
yeah. What was funny is that a few of those t-shirts were obviously from our first run because they were all bobbly where they've been in the tumble dry quite a bit.
I mean, so two of those t-shirts were embroidered. Like
you kidding?
Yeah, so they're embroidered from the first one. And actually, those two I gave out, you couldn't get them because I got a white one just because I wanted to see what it's like. And the other one was a black one, which you couldn't get at the time. They're both gone.
So while you were on stage, and you chucked these t-shirts into the audience, did you think, I'm probably not going to get them back?
I just thought, I'm sure, because I was being so obnoxious with it, I just thought... I'm sure people just like put it onto one side and at the end it's like, here's your t-shirt, you idiot.
You are insane,
Dave, I literally
Matt.
chucked one in someone's face. Like,
yes.
now I'm thinking like, they must think an absolute twat. If I think about it from like, oh yeah, this is a giveaway, I'm giving out to listeners, to viewers, to fans, whatever. Like, but I literally just like chucked one in someone's face and then they're like, oh, brilliant, free t-shirt.
James, who's the weirdo here?
It's definitely me. I know that.
It's definitely Matt, yeah.
I can see why thinking, if you thought the audience was sympathetic and they know you, then they would just be like, oh, he's doing a bit. He's probably going to want these back.
I thought it was like, it's a bit.
No fucking way.
I know it's implausible, but I can see why Matt could have thought that, like, yeah, people would just get that it was a joke and just roll with it not steal
there's not many people on the planet that knows Matt Murray as well as I do, and even I was blown away that he thought he was going to get those t-shirts back at the end of it. I could not believe it.
Anyway, either way, it's really funny, so I'm glad it worked out.
It is really funny.
It's
just a shame that like so many jokes are costing you money at the moment.
That's fine. That's part of it. The thing is,
Stadia,
I thought,
the newspaper advert, and now this.
Yeah, I mean, it has been an expensive year. We'll say that much. So I had also like a Midnight Resistance t-shirt on, and I had like another I had a polo shirt back at the house, like another Midnight Resistance t-shirt. But I thought, I'll tell you what, I'll wear the one I want to wear on stage last because. You know, because then I won't have to change. But what if I
didn't make it through enough rounds?
What if I chuck them all off? Is basically what I'm saying. Someone did say, "Oh, Matt, here's your shirt. Here's like the actual like button-up shirt from previous." I'm like, "Oh, so you didn't want that then?"
So okay, so then there was the moment where Big Boy Barry. I didn't understand what was going on there. Like when he kept announcing the deal that was happening on that for those stuffed toys.
I think it was just a funny bit.
The alpacas,
he was just joking, right?
Yeah.
He was just joking.
Yeah.
How did he end up with one? Did someone go and buy one and give it to him?
Paul got him one.
Paul went over and got one, yeah. I don't know if he
Paul
actually
went over
paid
and
for it
bought-
or he just said, like, look, if we prat about with this on stage and mention you, can we just
If we mention the deal about 60,000 times.
Right, so anyway, then he gave it to Big Boy Barry. Matt said, "Can I have a look?" Big Boy Barry gave it to him, and he lobbed it to the crowd as well. So
I love this with you, Matt. Like just chucking stuff at the crowd. Why
I just thought it was really funny. Again,
that made me uncomfortable.
But
so
no one
did you
kept that,
speak
did
to
they?
him?
No one kept the alpaca, did they?
Did you speak to him about it afterwards?
I shook his down and said that was good. That was good fun. Thanks for being a good sport. He's like, don't worry about it. The thing is, I said multiple times, okay, let's have another feel with that alpaca. I just want to have another feel, and he wouldn't give in.
Was
with
funny.
it.
Yeah.
He wouldn't give me. I was going to chuck it behind us at that point.
Okay, but you do know the difference between you stealing someone's stuffed toy, chucking it in the audience, and then giving it back, and you taking a t-shirt off your own back and chucking it into the audience. You know.
I mean, in my defence, the alpaca was brand new. That feels like a prize. So I had my t-shirts on that I won. It doesn't matter anyway. For those of you who took one, thank you.
You
It's
should
really
have
funny.
got on stage and go, just to let you know, I've got many t-shirts on here, and they're not brand new. Okay, so and then
not
wink
all
at the
clean.
audience and go, so yeah,
I'm throwing
all
these
right.
for the purposes of a joke.
The thing is, so at the end, someone came up to me and said, "Oh, I got your t-shirt." I'm like, oh, "Okay, cool." And then she's like, okay, bye. You're like,
I was going to say,
brilliant.
I mean, credit where it's due. There are a few people going fucking mental about getting a Matt Murray t-shirt.
I know. He's quite the popular character, his old Matt.
Anyway,
I
was happy with how the bit turned out. It was stupid and funny.
The competition itself just made me fucking crease up because... For several reasons. First, there's how I won that is beyond me. Like, I mean, I wasn't getting high scores or anything. And it wasn't like I'd been.
You were just consistent though.
Matt finishing last.
I was consistent, Sean.
Hang on, Matt finished last in every single game, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he finished last in every single game. And do you know what he said to me? He said, "Oh, so what are the controls for this snake game thing?" And I went, "Matt, you're out." He went, "What?" I said, "You're out. You finished last. It's just me and this guy now. It's me versus him." Oh, all right. And then he just went quiet for the rest of it. You had Andy Hamilton, who turned up hungover, turned around saying, "I don't give a shit about this. Yeah, this is a load of who gives a shit? And we'll just have a laugh, boys. Yeah, we'll just have a laugh." And we're like, "Yeah, we'll just have a laugh." Yeah. Halfway through it, was screaming at Chris O'Regan because it wasn't fair. And at one point. I forgot about this. At one point, he was shouting at Chris O'Regan, and I started lifting my mic towards him to see if it could pick up on the speakers, sort of expose him like at the end of Coco. It didn't work, but it was that was
Dave,
brilliant.
do you remember saying to me when we were on stage after I had just realised I wasn't going to be in the final after finishing bottom? He's like, "Oh Matt, how about I walk you off stage?" And I was like, "You're not walking me off stage."
Oh yeah, I was like, "Yeah, let me walk you off stage." I think your pride kicks in.
I'm staying into the bitter end.
Right, listen, I also know, I know Matt very well, and I know that he took it all in good fun, right? But I know that there was part of him that was devastated that he
we've all
finished
seen
last.
the photos, and soon we'll have the video as well. So
he was devastated that he finished last. You weren't bothered. You were just, you kept looking at, when I said, "You're out, Matt," and you went, oh.
No, I wasn't bothered. I was playing a role. I wasn't bothered. I was just playing a role. So that's just that.
So I
wasn't bothered. Let's just agree
I want a plaque with a golden joypad on it that I put up on the wall.
Did you?
Yeah, I put up on the wall at home, and then
not in the office. No.
Within about 20 minutes, Harry come up to me and said, "Mummy broke it." And I went, "What?" "Mummy broke it. She tried to take it off the wall by holding the controller."
Oh wow!
So
wow,
that is now in 2 bits. I'm currently looking for some industrial bonding material to get that back.
Do you
on
remember
the
that? I'm going to assume like mum or guardian of that child outside Excel was like, "Oh, can you buy that?"
Oh yeah,
and,
that was weird.
And you're like, "No,
I missed this.
Weird.
No, I won that." So, do you win it for playing some games?
Why was it weird?
No, I don't mean it as weird. It was just weird that it was us, that was happening to us, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, it was pretty bizarre. Yeah, I mean, we're celebrities, and she didn't even know how big we are.
She would kick herself when she got home. She's like, "Bloody hell, it was
him!" Yeah, and then the whole Ian Lee thing happened live. That was just funny.
That was funny.
He texted me afterwards
so
saying it was really funny and that. Well, in fact, actually, I love Ian. He does shit like that, and then texts to go, "I'm really sorry if I ruined things, if I upset anyone." I was like, "No." It was
I was telling someone at work about it, and I was like, "Right, you know who Ian Lee is?" And she was like, I don't know. I said he was on. I said,
I hope he's listening to this.
And I was like, "We've been on the radio for years. He's done like quite a bit of TV. He was on I'm a Celebrity a few years ago. He was really the tall guy." And she was like, "No." I said, "The thing is, the rest of this story is sort of predicated on him being quite famous. That's why it's funny." So
So I won't tell you then.
Yeah,
what about him? Nothing. And I repeat what I tweeted as well. I'm absolutely gutted to have missed out on the meet afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
The boys were there. I had a phone call. "You need to come home. Harry's throwing up. Charlie's throwing up. I'm starting to feel sick. I need you home." And my little face when I returned back to I was halfway through my first pint. I was absolutely gutted. I had to get the train back, but that's the risk you take when you have kids. What was amazing was the amount of text messages I had from the event. Various different text messages from various different TCGS members about how hammered James Farley was.
Oh my goodness! So this was fascinating because this went. We got there and we were like, we are actually starving already, but we're like, we can't just fuck off early. Like we've got to hang around for a bit, obviously. Like can't just.
I think you went too early. How about that?
Well,
Jesus Christ, you were gone by 9
because it went. No, what time did we go? It was about 9ish. But yeah, that turned from like we need to go and get dinner to we need to get James out of it.
Really that bad.
Oh, James, I saw the photos. There's always this really you've got a face when you're hammered, and it's this sort of half smiling, half worrying face. You know what I mean? Like half panicking. You've got this weird, like googly smile, and you just think, yeah, James is fucked.
It was
What was the argument we had? Me and James had an argument.
Did you?
Like I said something in a text, and he just went, "What the fuck does that mean?" And I was like, James, I don't know how I could make it more clear than what I've just said. Like it was.
I don't even remember that.
It was like just an average question. It was like, how many people are there, or something like that. And you went, "What the fuck does that mean?" And I just went, "Have you had 2 beers?" And you went, "I've had 4." I was like, "Oh my god, panic stations." Because the night before you got hammered on 1.
No, you weren't like bad, James. It's just I think I just wasn't used to seeing you after a few drinks, and it was like after a bit of fresh air, you were absolutely fine.
James is absolutely never a bad drunk. Yeah. Like he's never been embarrassing or done anything stupid. It's just funny that he has to keep telling you how drunk he is. Like he just keeps telling you how drunk he is. I mean,
just in case something happens. Just so I'm just covering my back. That's what that's about. I mean, we also had the most uncomfortable taxi drive journey I've ever had in my life.
Oh my god, that was
on the way back.
Well, I mean, you were just dying for a piss, weren't you? That was that was your problem. I was getting fucking travel sick. Yeah. I just said, I said, guys, I'm just going to have to stare out the window and not really talk. Okay, I'm just.
What happened?
Nothing. He was just quite an erratic driver.
He was in an Oculus Rift at the time.
He was just quite an erratic driver. James, weak bladder. Me, weak, I don't know, brain.
Matt was the same as me as well, but just didn't let on.
I was also on the edge of pissing myself in the front seat.
Jesus.
Yeah,
it was horrible. It was really horrible.
The only other thing to report is quite a depressing one, actually, because we went to, obviously, the Life is Strange 2 talk on... What was that, on a Friday, wasn't it?
No, it was on a Saturday.
Saturday morning, yeah.
Oh, really? Was it?
No, it was 4 o'clock, so it must have been Friday, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, Friday. I'm pretty sure it was a Friday. It was really sad to see, because those things... Do you remember when we used to go to the talks all the time at EGX? We haven't been to a big one recently because they've been too busy. For me. Yeah, I love the panels, but... This was, I mean, I thought, right, let's get there at 1:45. It means that we'll probably still get in.
Dodge the queues.
Yeah, but we won't be queuing for too long, you know. And then John said to me, Dave, you're going to be the only ones in there. You don't have to turn up early. And I was like, no, definitely got to do it. And when we went there was no one there, and I thought, oh, maybe you could just go in. Maybe everyone's in there already. I don't know. It was like proper. It wasn't that bad, but it was half empty, wasn't it? And it just shows you, fucking hell. I love that game. I truly love that game, but people really haven't bought into the second series, have they?
It's a shame.
No. It's. I mean, we were saying during the thing, it's just the gaps between it have been not helpful at all.
Yeah.
For building really up any sort of hype. It's It's
I just really hope they go for it.
But I still, we you just said that the gaps and stuff haven't done well for season 2. But I still thought, okay, well, Life is Strange itself has a big enough pool.
Yeah, true.
I thought it.
Yeah, it's a name, isn't it?
Yeah, you would think anyone who enjoyed the first series would just be like, "Oh, the devs are doing a talk. Whether you played the second series or not,
the ones in between, Captain Spirit.
Yeah,
I thought it resonated with a lot of people, but yeah.
Also, the the talk itself wasn't very good, was it? I mean, the questions were stuff that no one cared about, and and there was no Q&A from the audience at the end.
Yeah.
Who does these things without a Q&A at the end?
That was the biggest disappointment, wasn't it? Because you had a whole bunch of stuff you wanted to ask.
Yeah, I wanted loads. I wanted to ask loads of questions, but for
me, it was quite sad. And the biggest thing for me is it wasn't very insightful.
Yeah.
The answers we got from them, I wasn't like, Oh, that's really clever how that was written.
How do you choose the music? Oh, we try and set the tone.
Yeah.
How do you come up with the characters?
I've heard more insightful things elsewhere. I mean, for me though, that talk had the funniest part of EGX for me.
What?
Well, at this point, Dave, you were gone off because I think you needed a pee.
Yeah, I needed
and you were gone for so long. Me and James thought you had actually died. Like, is Dave okay?
I wasn't actually that long at all. I just, when you walk in, like I was ducking under cameras anyway. Like on my way out, I thought, this is really awkward. I hate walking out during things, especially live things. It's fucking awkward. So when I come back in, I just sat at the back. So I watched the rest of it at the back. Because I didn't want to have to walk right the way down to the front in a half-empty theatre, like in front of everyone again. So
I was, at that point, I was sat to where you, but basically there's like an empty seat between me and James, and I was looking at James and like, where's he gone? And then that we sort of go over that, and then a few people on their phones because it's a very slow talk, and I look over to James.
There's that one dude who was asleep.
I mean, there was a guy sleeping, wasn't there?
There was.
There was a guy two rows behind us just fell asleep.
I think me and James were both in danger, weren't we?
EGX is tiring, but come on.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Go on, a few people on the phones. James has gone to have a watch. He was on his watch, and I was listening to talk, and I was like, I could look over and see what he's doing, and he was like looking maybe at emails, maybe I think he might have checked a couple of tweets, and then he spent a good 2.5 minutes on the Domino's app.
Are you kidding me, James?
And then he was like, almost like licking his lips, thinking, I wonder what I can get here. And then I just held my gaze, like just looking at him, looking at the watch, and he like turned over to the right, and then I did like a double take, and then basically we both had to like hold ourselves from laughing out loud because I caught him, he realised what had happened. I was laughing the fact a man was staring at his Domino's app during a talk for like 2 minutes.
Wait, when you say Domino's app, can I just make sure? Are you talking about like the game Domino's?
No, we're doing Domino's pizza.
Domino's pizza.
I was going to make the joke. Was it Domino's pizza? It actually was it?
Yeah.
Why were you looking at the
menu on his watch during a talk for 2 minutes.
I'd never opened it before. I'll be honest, I was a bit bored. So I was just like, seeing what I could do with it. Just like looking through on my phone, like, what can I do? And then, it's...
What can I order? Yeah. How quick does it get here?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
But it was just really awkward because I looked across and saw Matt staring at me, and I was just thinking, has he seen what I'm actually doing here? And then it became apparent he had.
If they're talking about a really emotional part of the game, then all of a sudden on the side of stage, a bloke in a scooter helmet walks on. Got a delivery for a James Farley here.
Yeah. Mighty meteors and my chickens.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was obviously, as we said, an absolutely fantastic weekend. Thanks to everyone that came along and all the lovely stuff. People that were coming up to us and saying hello and getting photos and stuff. It was so nice to meet you all. Genuinely, like it was. I didn't meet anyone that I didn't like, and which is good. And
damning with faint praise, isn't it?
That's yeah.
What? That's nice. He meant to say that. I didn't meet anyone I didn't like.
Everybody I met was thoroughly.
I mean, to be fair, Dave, the comments you've been getting in the Discord and stuff have all just been like, "Oh, do you know what? Dave's actually not as big a cunt as he sounds. He is on the
Is it really?
Yeah, they really are saying things like that.
They're like, yeah, James, Sean, and Matt, yeah, they're fine, but Dave's nice. It's actually nice.
Fuck, I ruined it. But no, what a fantastic weekend, and hopefully there'll be more live shows in the new year. As we've had a couple of questions about it, but no, we've got nothing planned at the moment. But who knows? Who knows what happens in the new year? And we also need to say thanks to our Patreon producers this week. They went full Nels. I hope that didn't embarrass you when I shouted out your names and the whole crowd shouted full Nels back at us from the audience. But I just thought that was too good. Oh, it was so good.
Yeah,
it was so. They got it so
right.
Yeah,
it was great. Yeah, I mean, you didn't have to get them ready. They just like start like. crack on.
Yeah, because stuff like
that
that is always a gamble, and like people might just been like, "What? He wants us to shout what?" But it's fine.
But where I was standing on stage, it felt like the whole fucking expo had stopped to shout, "Full Nels!" It was so good. Our Patreon producers this week: Steve Garrett, Full Nels; Alan M. Nash, Full Nels; Aaron Patrick, Full Nels; and Simon, Full Nels Nelson, Full Nels. Thank you so much. If you want to go full Nels, go to www.patreon.com/TCGS. Of course, there are other tiers there. You can hear our latest bonus show for just $5 a month, is it?
Yeah.
Which also gives you the back catalogue of bonus shows as well, right?
Yep. Yeah. It gives you everything I've ever done. So at this point, there must be like 6 or 7 or 8.
Yeah, 6 or 7. The latest one was us the night before in the biggest shithole I've ever stayed in, talking about how we were going to cope with going onto a stage that was completely open on the show floor.
I've still not written that Airbnb review. I'm working.
How not? I mean, I would have done that there.
I'm working myself up to
Sean,
it.
How not?
How
not? Well, we've got the episode title. Let's get on to feedback, Matt.
How not? Actually, I mean, on terms of feedback, one of the best tweets we had during our rejects time was almost saying this one. Ali Dougherty at Dwarf Boys on Twitter. There was a bit of a discussion about the pod, and I think someone recommended us, and he said, "Great down to earth podcast, thoroughly recommended." Also, Dave looks like a Domio, the Domio puppet, which I didn't previously know.
A Domio what? What was that?
The Domio puppet.
The Domio.
The Domio.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, you can slag me off.
David's like the Dormio puppet, which I didn't previously know. And yeah, if anyone's seen the Dormio adverts in the last few years, yeah.
Why do you keep saying Dormio?
Yeah.
The Dormio, what am I saying? Is that wrong, Dormio?
There's an L in it.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's just my pronunciation.
Well, this has backfired spectacularly, hasn't it, Matt?
David's like a Dormio.
Dolmio.
Dormio.
Dolmio.
Dormio.
You keep saying Domio.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm reading that wrong, actually. It's almost like this. Okay, that's just
looks
me.
like a Domio, man.
Domio.
The thing that made me laugh about that the most is that I was thinking, we joke about Joe slagging me off on Twitter and stuff, but there is part of me thinking, I'm a husband, I'm the father of children. Is she going to get a bit sick of people just posting Dolmio characters on my fucking timeline? She joined in again. It's just like there is no limit now to what people say on Twitter about me that she doesn't jump on board. It was fucking mental. But yeah, very funny. That made me laugh a lot.
Domio, one of the questions that we got actually, I think, during the live show, I think someone asked basically what roles we'd all have were we to work in a game studio or come up with our own game. We come up with some roles, and basically James was asked on the spot to name the game. That name was, James, is it The Bitter Nest or A Bitter Nest?
The Bitter Nest.
The Bitter Nest.
Can I just say, that has never gone wrong, has it? He's always come out with something absolutely incredible. Like, you had Takes to the Ocean. Yeah. We've done it loads of times, but when he said The Bitter Net, it wasn't a shit. Like, it wasn't. It was just so funny.
It was the fact that he was so. He was like, "No, do you know what's come to my mind? Actually, he was like grinning.
It's a nest.
Bitter Nest."
Well, James, we've got our first question about that game. I think we announced it will be at Res 2021, so we need to start working on it. But it will be there.
Res E3, mate.
Oh, what that? Oh, yeah, that's a good point. That's how we can get there.
Yeah.
We'll do that, but actually we'll be doing a show. Yeah.
It's got to be easier ways of getting there, right?
I don't know. We'll create a bit of nest. Fascination tweet at PPAZUZU. Can you confirm that the Bitter Nest will have no microtransactions? This is very important to me. James, I mean, when you named the Bitter Nest, did you envision it to be a microtransaction hell?
Definitely will not have microtransactions. There may be a battle pass, but there will be no microtransactions.
Oh, so it's multiplayer.
I was going to say, we never confirmed what type of game it was it? All we know is it's called the Bitter Nest, and that it's set now.
It's a third-person action game.
Oh, okay.
Set now.
Yeah. It's a third-person action game. I mean, it's not going to be multiplayer, but there will be a battle pass.
Okay.
So
brilliant.
Fine.
Looking forward to that.
What are we going to call the battle pass? Because you can't just call it battle pass. What
bitter pass, surely.
Yeah, bitter pass.
Yeah.
Well, the bitter pass.
I was hoping James would come out with some more gold then, lads. But okay, we'll go with the bitter pass. Fine. Go on.
The bitter bus. Naylor Ben did Matt Gaines his t-shirts back. No, but that's definitely 100% no. But if anyone's listening and wants to send it back, just come and just DM me. No, you can keep it. It's fine. Capone Adam, if Matt can afford... Oh, yeah. Also, I got ripped for the entire show about Google Stadia. But we'll no doubt come onto that. Capone Adam, if Matt can afford... he should absolutely not cancel the Google Stadia, aka the future pre-order. If he's willing to take one for the team, then I'm sure it'd be worth it. If only to hear all the absurdities on the service. There will be plenty of comical value on the podcast, as certain members of the team will grow increasingly bored of endless Google Stadia news. I mean, that's happening anyway.
Yeah,
I'm not even in control of that.
Pre-order status.
It's still there. So if you can, Matt, keep that pre-order and become the number one Google Stadia fan you were destined to be. Well, the status is it's still there, and I'm actually getting quite excited about it now. We're under a month away, or
are we?
Maybe
possibly you might not be getting it, Matt. But
stay tuned for the news.
We'll come to that, yeah.
or are we? We talked about Warcraft and Hearthstone like in the last few weeks with a lot of the Blizzard stuff, and Alex has. I'm sure
we tuned out for that, didn't we, James?
I can't remember how we got onto it, but yeah, I was saying that basically the sense of humour in Hearthstone just fucks me off. But yeah, go on.
I mean, this email says you said Warcraft humour, but
sorry, yes.
I'm just going to read the email.
Please
I hope this doesn't sound too much like a nerdy. Well, actually, I mean, it does. It does literally sound like a actually email. But in the last week's episode, Sean said he'd like to remove the Warcraft humour from Hearthstone because of how grating it is. I agree that the humour and general wackiness in Hearthstone is grating, but that's actually from Hearthstone, not Warcraft. The only reason this bothers me enough to email is that Hearthstone's childish humour is exactly why I've never been able to get into, despite being a huge fan of Warcraft. Then it has some examples, but sorry, Alex, I'm not going to read those examples. Yeah, so sorry, Sean. You said it is actually. You said it's the wrong game, Sean.
No,
think about it
fine.
before it comes out of your mouth.
I think I must have just merged. Like the stuff I heard in Hearthstone, I must just like, that's all stuff from Warcraft.
Even David knew that, didn't you, Dave?
Yeah, I knew that, boy.
Even Matt,
just
Dave's rolling his eyes. Sean's getting his Warcraft info wrong agagen.
Just give him the rope.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
He can make his own bed. He's going to kick himself in the morning when he realises it's the wrong game.
I was texting James throughout, going, "Lol, he's got that wrong."
I can't believe he's saying that. He's actually fucking yeah. Well, let's get this last bit. Athena Allen has come to correct me, and rightly so.
You were about to say, let's get this last bit out of the way, and then you bottled it because it was Athena Allen.
No.
I was just going to slaughter you in a tweet within seconds of the podcast going up.
I'm not scared of it. I can do what I want. Anyway, we talked about, I guess, like... I did the PlayStation 5 pad and the haptic, and then we said, is HD Rumble haptic? And I'm like, it's not haptic, boys. I know my Rumble. Anyway, Athena Allen says, hey, HD Rumble is haptic feedback. Matt,
that's what we said, right? Yeah. I mean, but I
mean, I looked into it. Basically, it's Nintendo's version of haptic feedback, but not that that's a
but you thought there was fucking motors and spinning. You just thought it was normal Rumble.
I thought it was just that, but a bit more complex. But
how do they then... How do they program it so that you can tell how many balls are in the pot?
I don't know, I'm not a haptic scientist. I don't know how it works.
It's just loads of little tiny motors on sticks.
Well, I don't know. Anyway, Athene, you're correct. Well done. Well bloody done you. I hope you're happy with yourself. That's it for
Cheers,
feedback. It's at Computer Game Pod on Twitter, or you can email your feedback to podcast@thecomputergameshow.com.
Good. Should we get straight to the news?
Yeah. Okay.
What was that noise?
What's happened?
Right. Okay. I'll level with you.
Uh-oh.
I've kind of ramped up a bit.
This
week. Well, okay, it's fine because obviously I've got the news headlines here.
You mean like normal? Okay.
Yeah, I've got them like normal, but you see, I didn't bring my computer home with me today.
Right.
And
how are you recording?
I'm using another computer.
No, he's not. He's using his fucking. He's using his iPad, aren't he? With his fucking inline microphone.
I can send you pictures of what I'm doing right now.
I never want to hear that sentence from you ever.
I hear that a lot.
I'm going to send you pictures. Look, here you go. Look, I'll show you exactly what I'm doing right now.
No, it's okay. So what you're saying is, James, you've done what you do normally. You've just got the headline and that's it.
Well, yeah, fuck off, Matt. Anyway, no.
Every week we're like, I've got a statement. No, I haven't got a statement. I haven't got the actual.
Okay, yeah, but that's ridiculous, right? Because I do usually have.
It's not ridiculous.
Like a whole no, shut up, right?
It's
I
not
do
ridiculous.
usually have a whole ton of like quotes and stuff, and then you just so happen to ask me about one of them.
Often we
that I've
say,
not seen.
what is the quote? And you're like, well, I haven't got that one. Just got the headline.
Exactly. I can't have every single thing that's ever been said.
Shigeru
Can I?
Miyamoto said something very
James.
controversial this week.
Anyway,
what did
look,
he
the
say,
point
James?
is-
Well, I haven't got that information.
Yeah, I've just got the headline and the URL. That's about it, innit?
It's
The
not
point
ridiculous
is,
to say
the
that.
point is,
Go on.
right, is I don't have my notes this time.
Right.
So I'm going to
Why
have to do
not?
this from memory, which is going to be.
You know,
it'll be
just
fine.
open up the news stories and.
Do you know
I
what's
can do that,
beautiful?
yeah, but then
Skim
I've got to speed read it while I'm doing it, and I hate
Do you
doing
know what's
that.
Okay.
beautiful? Thanks for telling us that, because after every news story, James, Sean, Matt, and I will be asking you loads of questions. So let's get going.
Here's the first news story. Fallout 76 is getting a £12 a month subscription called Fallout First.
Right, what do you get for that subscription,
Yeah,
James?
exactly.
Okay. So
What's
for the
involved?
subscription, you get private worlds. So this is so that you can set up your own sort of servers or whatever, and there's
Right.
going to be like mod support for that later. You get a scrap box for unlimited junk storage, a survival tent that creates this new placeable
fast
Yeah.
travel point with a
Right, yeah. Okay, so you've got the internet somewhere, okay.
And also, right, you get 1,650 atoms per month and the Ranger
1,650.
Armour outfit. Yeah, so you get some of this stuff, but people aren't very happy, obviously, because the big thing that came out of this was it turned out that the private worlds that they've said that they have, it turns out that they're not entirely new for some people.
What do you mean?
Well, people have been loading up a private server and then finding like dead NPCs
It's
around
like
the world.
Oh, hold on, that's like our Airbnb.
Has that been cleaned up?
I mean, it did look like it had been looted, and that's what's been happening in these maps as well. Like people have been like finding like the loot's gone and stuff like that.
So
And
they're just recycling instances
Yes.
between. Yeah, okay.
yeah, so
I
they're
mean, that's not
really
terrible, is it? I'm assuming that eventually it will respawn, like the loot and shit will respawn, no?
But if you're going to do
No
that,
idea.
surely there needs to be a reset button you can hit for when the next group
there
comes
does.
in.
Yeah, I mean, that is just clean the fucking flat before we get there.
James,
Yeah.
I've got to ask. So this obviously is last week's news story. Bethesda has actually replied. So have you got that response?
What do you think, Matt? Of course,
What
I
did
haven't
they-
got that response.
What did they
But, let me just,
respond with, James?
Can I just finish ragging on this first before we get to the response?
Well, no, because if they've
Well, no,
responded, and
if they haven't got a
it
response.
ruins your argument, doesn't it?
Look, Matt, I haven't got the response. What was? Just tell me the response.
Did you even
Matt.
know they had responded?
No,
This was last week's news, James. I can't.
I know.
Okay, well, I'll find a response. I'll do your job
But
for
you
you
haven't got
whilst
it
you
ready,
repeat
Matt.
this.
Why haven't you got it ready? You've
Because it's not
come
my
out
job,
with that.
James. You're the news hound.
I told you it was a mistake. Things went wrong. Anyway, the other thing that's gone wrong with this is that it's got this scrap box, and the whole point is so that you can store like as much junk as you want like in this. And it turns out that people have been putting stuff who have subscribed to this, and it's just deleting it. So like you dump all your stuff in there, and then it's just gone. So it is a kind of a magic box, but like a magic box that makes things disappear, and people are not very happy about it. So
It
yeah.
was a shame. So it sounds like they've done a very bad job then.
Yes.
And they're open to a lot of criticism from various people, including other people that work with them and rely on them. Would you say that's true?
What are you getting at, Dave?
They've done a very bad job, so people can take the piss out of them. That's
very poor.
That's what we're doing.
Bethesda
That's what we're
didn't
doing
bring their
here.
laptop home with them, basically. Is what
Yeah.
I
I
think.
mean, if Bethesda are listening to this, they're going, glass houses, James.
Yeah,
Glass houses.
at least we actually did more than. Okay, this is basically what Bethesda says. Basically, it said they are addressing the issues. So currently, private servers are joinable by anyone on the friends list of the server owner, even if they're not invited. But basically, they said, essentially, they said they're looking to provide an option in an upcoming patch that will allow members to restrict access. So I think they thought it was like a feature at first, and everyone kicked off. Instead of in terms of the disappearing scrap, Bethesda initially stated it was actually due to a display error, where scrap boxes were appearing empty but actually weren't. However, they have since found that a small number of players have in fact actually lost scrap metal or scrap items after placing them into a scrap box. So at first they said, don't worry about it. It is there. It's just on the front end. We're not seeing it. Now they've realised, oh no, actually, turns out some of you have actually lost stuff from your scrapbooks. So that's not good, is it? And anyway, they're releasing a hotfix to fix those issues as a top priority.
But it's just odd, isn't it? I mean, they've released this, like, the time that they've released this is odd because it's like £12 a month. I mean, who's going to pay that for this? I mean, obviously...
I'd say, like, right, you've not played the game, right? And I'm not saying that you can't say it's bad because there's clearly loads of problems with it. What I'm saying is that I could see people paying for that.
Yeah, if you love the game,
I could see people paying for it. I could see people paying for it, but I wouldn't be happy if I paid for it and all this sort of stuff was happening.
No, nor would I. But I think with all they've put up with over the years, maybe they're hoping that it'll be patched and it'll be sorted out. So I'm not going to judge the people that have bought this thing because Fallout.
No, I'm going to judge Bethesda.
Fallout. Yeah. But I know. But you were like, who would pay for this, man? I don't know.
Who would pay for it? But you know,
I think the more interesting question here is the battle for the biggest fuck up of the year. I mean, has this put them ahead of Anthem now? I think it has, right?
It was pretty much neck and neck.
Yeah, God, yeah. Like,
and now I think this might have tipped them over the line. They might be in the lead now.
Like Anthem,
I think
Anthem
this
wasn't good, but it did basically work, right? Whereas Fallout 76 has just been coming apart of the seams since day one.
This has just been one thing after another of just like terrible things happening.
Yeah, but hold on, Sean. If we're going by what games work and what games don't, we've got a story on WWE 2K20 coming up. So
that's true.
I mean, it's to announce. I'm surprised. I'm not surprised that they made a big announcement about this subscription thing because I guess they had to, but at the same time, it's like try and keep it on the down low because people will want it, and apparently the people that were playing it were asking for this sort of stuff, so they're just providing it for them.
Well, yeah, they were asking it, but I don't think they were asking to pay £12 a month for it.
It's expensive, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah,
that is really expensive.
That's more Netflix. Think about it.
It's more than Netflix. I looking from the outside, that game is a fucking mess. I'm surprised that they haven't just put their foot down now. Like, just kicks it into the. I mean,
well, no, they must be making money off it. Like, I mean, they must be. If they,
I bet there's still a decent amount of players. I mean, the thing is, the comparison between this and Anthem. I don't think Anthem was ever a PR fuck up. It was just that the game wasn't really there, and no one really latched onto it.
Yeah, problems at launch, definitely.
Yeah. But because of PR, I think that was mostly just. That was just really the game and lack of people playing it. Whereas this has had major PR fuck ups with all the bags and the influencer stuff, and then it feels like they have actually fixed some stuff, and maybe there's still a decent amount of people playing. But launching this within like the first few months, so this, if you did this like 2 years down the line after Goodwill, you finally got the Goodwill round, you've sort of done like a No Man's Sky in terms of fixing the world and fixing the game and people loving it and coming back for new big patch updates, and then like, oh, here's this as well. But they're obviously looking at what players they have got and thinking, well, if this shrinks, we need to try and capitalise on the numbers we've got.
I think what's really interesting,
but if we haven't fucked them enough, fuck the ones that are left over.
Because there's also supposed to be like NPCs, isn't there, that are in this?
Yeah, because they weren't going to be any originally, were they? They were just going to say, no, it's all people, and that's really cool. And everyone's like, no, the world feels empty and rubbish. Put NPCs in.
Yeah.
But then they're like, we're going to add those, but they're adding them next year now.
Oh, they're still not in. Right, fuck, I assumed that was done and dusted.
No.
Fuck.
So that's why you'd think, wouldn't you, that they probably should have done that before they did this whole pass thing.
Absolutely.
Like, at least do that first, and it's
fix the things before you start adding new stuff that you're charging for.
Maybe it's £20 a month for NPCs. I don't know.
What's really odd is that like this isn't their first MMO. Like if it was, it still wouldn't be excusable because you're charging money for it. But you'd be like, well, they haven't done one before, so they've run into problems. It's not entirely unprecedented. But the Elder Scrolls Online exists and is pretty popular from what I gather. Certainly you don't hear like constant bad news about it, and it's been running for years.
So what was the story that broke this morning about people
the class war
attacking? What's this?
Oh, this is great.
I didn't read the
I
story.
only saw a few tweets about this, but basically, because in game, like it identifies people who are Fallout First players.
Yeah, there's an icon above their head or something.
Yeah, so basically, all the non-Fallout First players are just griefing the shit out of the Fallout First people. So the Fallout First players having to barricade themselves in and holding little sieges and stuff, and it sounds great.
Even before that, last week, I saw pictures of an in-game protest of people saying basically building a little fort and building their own placards or signs that basically said "Down with Fallout First." And
I love that. That's brilliant. They ought to build their own gated community.
Within the game, that'd be great.
That is good. I mean, and how are they going to combat that? I mean, the easy way would be to just turn off those icons above people's heads, but the funny way would be to introduce an army that turns up and protects the rich. And this turns into that could be the way that this survives.
You could put bounties on them as well, or something like that. For people, there's loads of things you could do with this.
Oh,
you should turn it into an in-game event.
This could be a game changer for them. If they turn this into a big online political riot. People could just suddenly be interested in playing.
Yeah, when I heard about the war, I'm thinking, hang on, I might sign up. This sounds great fun. I might sign up just so I can get involved in this.
Well, yeah, because so I'm reading it fuck the 1%. I might buy the game. I might turn up and batter some rich people.
Every person, I'm going to register to vote, and by that I mean I'm going to play Fallout 76 just to show my colours.
Right,
I'm not going to abstain from this war.
Speaking of broken messes,
James Farley.
Whoa. What is happening? Sorry about that.
Right,
that was me opening the link and it auto playing a video. Sorry about that.
Several things here. One, that was horrific because I don't know what that noise was. Secondly,
why is it still going?
It's not.
It's not, James.
That's me. That's me that time. That's me talking.
This is David's voice. You'll hear.
It's just this constant annoying whiny noise.
When I tee you up with a segue like that, James, don't just go quiet.
I didn't hear what was going on.
I said, talking of broken games.
Yeah.
Oh my God, James.
No, because I'll tell you what happened there is I also opened the link as well. See, this wouldn't have happened if I hadn't forgot my notes. And then what happened was then it started up the video as well. So all I could hear was that. I couldn't hear you, Dave.
Yeah.
Your defence can't be, this wouldn't have happened if I didn't fuck up.
That's not my fault.
Well, it wouldn't have done, would it?
If James Farley in the past wasn't such an idiot.
Talking of broken games.
So 2K promised. I just started it. Come on, give me a second. Come on. You can't say talking of broken games. Fucking hell. Like that. You've got to give me a second to actually say something.
Talking of broken games,
2K are promising to patch the disastrous WWE 2K20 because there's been loads of glitch clips for this.
Yeah, this has been hilarious, to be fair. I mean, I'm not going to click the link again to see him because it'll do the bloody audio again, but yes.
Dear 2K, please don't fix it. It's just been hilarious, the whole thing.
Culturally has more worth as it currently is.
God, absolutely.
It was so bad. It was trending on Twitter. That's how bad it was. And I think, I think our patch did go out last week, and people were saying that if you're streaming this, do not patch it because it's way funnier without the patch.
So the ones that we've seen. My favourite bits are when the rope starts shaking and going crazy, and then the whole ring just falls apart. Clip. You know, they people falling through the stage and walking around crouched and stuff like that. I mean, it's been insane, the stuff that's come out about this, but it's also character creation screens where eyeballs turn up in weird places and they move about. It's just honestly just so funny to see.
I mean, how did this get released?
Well, I was going to say, because I think this has come about because it's for the first time in years, it's a different developer, isn't it? So it used to be Ukes did these every year. And now, and obviously, it's an annual release, but obviously they're building on their own tech that they've built for it each year. Whereas I think this is the first year in a long time that it's actually a new developer. I might be wrong.
Although I have also heard that they tend to be buggy messes anyway. Okay. So, I mean, any game with sort of human characters colliding in a physics-based way, it's a fucking hard thing to do. Like it's a really hard thing to do. But they just, I mean, they've not even got close. It's insane. My favourite thing to do is if you go to the like Facebook, and they've paid for advertising as these things do. Go to the comments page, because it's a massive argument between people that are like, this is a total mess, you have to get rid of it. I mean, I guarantee most people that are posting that haven't even bought it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know what the internet's like. But my favourite are the ones that are defending it. Like, there was one guy in there that could barely string a sentence together saying how we should be happy that we getting any sort of wrestling game, because when he was younger, they didn't have wrestling games.
Oh, for God's sake.
And we should appreciate the fact that we've got a new wrestling game to play. There's other people saying, I've never had any bugs. Like, I love that as well. You meet people like that all the time. Matt, I love you, mate, but you do this a lot. Where if we all get something new and I'll go, this fucking thing don't work, but I've never had that problem. And I'm like, that doesn't help me.
I can only say like my own issues. Like, what am I going to do elsewhere?
That was the Bluetooth headset thing when we were going on Nintendo Online. Hey kids, remember the Nintendo Online, that app? What the fuck? You were going, well, mine doesn't cut off when the screen goes black. And I'm like, well done, Matt. What do you want? Like, what? Are you accusing me of lying? You accusing me of lying?
Dirty
but
plum.
yeah, no, it's people doing that. The arguments going on in the comments section. Go check it out. It's quite funny. But yeah, what a mess. What a mess. And from what I've heard, WWE have a contract that I'm not even going to say that because I don't know if that's true or not. But apparently, they will force that game out regardless of what condition it is, because it will sell every time.
Yeah. I'm sure
we
it's
don't know
still
that for a fact.
Still going to sell, yeah.
That's word on the street. Okay.
I guess the funny thing is, obviously, you know, we know from all the studies and stuff we've read over the years, like, you know, not everyone has the internet. So lots, like many thousands of people, potentially millions, will be buying this game and not be able to patch it, either because the internet's slow or they just don't have internet where they are. But they've, you know, maybe in like Middle America, they've gone to their local GameStop and bought this, and then they will just never be able to see the fixed game. The game will always be.
I'd want to keep it unpatched.
Oh
forever.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the thing. Will get a lot of money on eBay.
yeah.
Well, that's just a disc that doesn't work.
Yeah. Okay. It's like I've not played PT since like the first month that it come out. I still haven't deleted it from my PS4. I see it there, and I'm like, not gonna get rid of that. So yeah, maybe that
seems almost rude to delete it given the circumstances, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
like, oh yeah, that's just another copy of it that can never be replaced, just blinking out of existence.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Next news story, James.
Okay, so Ubisoft have had a bit of a bad time because their operating income's down like massively. Like, it was like 480 million like euros, and now it's like 20 to 50 million. So it's like a pretty big drop.
Somewhat of a drop, yeah.
Yeah, and what they've done is they've decided they're going to delay Watch Dogs Legion, Ghosts and Monsters, and Rainbow Six Quarantine until next year. Is kind of the idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's quite interesting because they had the investor call, and it was Yves Guillemot like basically said that it was like Breakpoint had done not as well as they would hope, and you know, apparently that they weren't happy with the critical response to the game, and said, you know, it hadn't been very well received.
Can I ask a stupid question?
Shoot.
What was Breakpoint?
That was Ghost Recon.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah,
Right.
that came out recently.
Jesus, right? Okay, I didn't even. Yeah, okay, fine.
It was another Ghost Recon, but it wasn't popular because there was a lot of. It was like buggy apparently, but
It
then
wasn't
also
that buggy at all. I didn't experience any bugs. Although, to be fair, I only played it for a few hours. So.
You are literally
also
doing the
the
thing
other
that
thing-
you just accused Matt of.
Very good point.
Unbelievable,
Very
David.
good point.
That doesn't help me, does it, David?
Good point. I mean, I can't say anything to that. That's exactly what I was saying.
there's also like it was the microtransaction element to it that a lot of people weren't happy with because they made it so, I mean, basically anything in the game you could buy like with money, and there was all like the sort of the timers thing, you know. So they were doing that thing that they've started doing more recently, where it's like if you want to save time, you can pay money, you know, so that you don't have to, you know, you can level up more
Don't
quickly
have to
and all that
play
kind of stuff.
the bloody game. What a chore.
Yeah.
They haven't had a lot of games out this year, though, have they?
No. What have they had this year? They had Breakpoint. They also didn't Division 2 come out this year as well?
Oh,
Yeah, but then that's not I mean, everyone said that was fine, but you didn't like it so much, did you, Dave?
Oh my god, it was just hypnol.
It was a shame, wasn't it? Because it was not. I mean, when we played it at where did we play it? Was it EGX or Rezzed?
EGX.
And it was.
And
it
could have been Rezzed. The independent.
that classic indie game, Division
2. Yeah.
And we played that, and it seemed really good at the time when we played. Then, it seemed like quite a big sort of step up from the Division. But then, when it came out, it felt exactly the same as the first game.
It really did. Yeah, it really did. It was very similar.
Shame.
Yeah, such a shame. But 2 games this year. Usually they've had a few out, not massive ones. So
I mean,
has it been Far Cry this year?
No,
there hasn't been. There was the sort of the standalone expansion to Far Cry 5, wasn't there?
Yeah. Yeah. Which Far Cry 5 was last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, these ones they've delayed. They're all still in this financial year, so I'm surprised that the stock values tanked. But
well, the stock values tanked are based on the recent financial reports. So it's not a massive thing.
Yeah, true.
It's. You look at that. The Watch Dogs, I think, will do very well.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be. It's a dip in the financial market that happens all the time. I don't think it's a massive worry. And they've got some big games out next year, so
they have. But I mean, I do feel that recently there's been sort of a bit of a change of opinion against Ubisoft, in terms
absolutely.
And mostly because it does feel like they've got this sort of the systems that they use for pretty much all their games are really quite similar. They're all these open world, sort of places which are kind of not terribly engaging or whatever. Although people will say that Assassin's Creed, the more recent ones have been excellent.
I was going to say, I mean,
I don't agree with that opinion at all. I mean, you're looking forward to Watch Dogs, aren't you, James? I mean, that's going to be that formula. I don't think that's what the issue is. I think when you look at the stuff they're bringing out, a lot of it is sequels to stuff that isn't exactly, loved. Do you know what I mean? Ghost Recon has an audience, there's no doubt about that. But I don't think it's beyond, it's not a massive hitter, is it, for them?
Yeah, because the last one was Wildlands, wasn't it? And I played a lot of that, and it was all right, but it wasn't great. At no point did I feel like I was really enjoying myself with that.
And they didn't show anything that made you think that this was going to be anything majorly different.
No, I mean
that's what I said in the statement. There's a lack of differentiation, no gameplay innovation. But, but I thought genuinely that people saw Ubisoft as a good thing, especially compared to someone like EA. It feels like Ubisoft knew what they were doing with the new Assassin's Creed game, meant to be brilliant. They had games like Rainbow Six Siege and other games whereby just because it might have not been great at the beginning, they gave it the time, they worked in it, they developed it, and and they brought it around. I mean, they worked on Division, the original Division for a long time, and turned that around. Obviously, Rainbow Six Siege, the same sort of thing. So I actually thought generally they're perceived to be really good stuff.
They started the generation very well, but I think they haven't done much with it.
I think more recently the bigger problem has been it's the microtransaction stuff and all that I think does turn people off. The idea, because of quite a lot of this stuff, it's moving on that idea of the games as a service stuff, which you can't. We can see now you can't have too many games like that because there just isn't an audience to sustain something like that over a long period of time. And ramming your game through of microtransactions is not a great idea in this climate at the moment, it seems.
I don't know. There are still games out there that are raking it in with microtransactions. I don't necessarily put it down to that. I just think it's another Ghost Recon game. It's another this game. It's another that game.
I mean, Ghost Recon is a worst example of that. That was oh geez, no one. I mean, I could not be inspired or excited about the game at all. It's just another one of those. I mean, Watch Dogs looked great at E3, and I'm really excited for the new Watch Dogs game. Gods and Monsters look good, but I guess ultimately these delays. I mean, they're not massive delays, as Sean says. It's not like they're delaying them. So they're delaying to March 2021 rather than So they're delaying for a year. So I mean, ultimately, this will make better.
March 2020.
What? March 2020?
No. Because all those games are meant to launch before March 2020, and now they're going to launch between April 2020 and March 2021.
Oh, they've just moved it.
Yeah,
right.
sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
They've delayed it to the next financial year.
Yeah,
right.
So they haven't delayed it a year, but they've delayed it by the next.
Apologies,
year.
yeah,
So
I
chances
saw
are
all
it's
the
gonna be a
dates
couple
and
of
just
months
thought,
away.
That's why the share price has gone down, because it's going to miss this financial year.
Maybe they're as I say, it's not necessarily. Oh, anyway, maybe they're looking to become the summer developer. We always talk about how there's a lack of games out, and there's a massive gap there that someone can just slip something into.
It's the only gap, isn't it? Now, really.
Yeah,
like
it is.
Like all the others are like rammed full of stuff, and
they need to bring out something new and exciting. I think Ubisoft, but as we all know, that's a massive risk. Just look at Anthem.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing that. We're trying to do that with Gods and Monsters. They have announced, it's not like they haven't announced a new IP. They have done that. It's just whether that new IP doesn't just follow the same formula that we've been used to in all the other games. But it would be great. I mean, like when people said, when they actually announced, okay, Assassin's Creed won't be annual, it will take a year off. It'll release one and the next one come out 2 years later. Everyone's like, well, that's brilliant. And I think people largely agree that made the most recent Assassin's Creed game a whole lot better. So hopefully we'll just get that. I mean, they also, I think, said in their statement that they realise they can't release these things annually. It's silly to do so. So ultimately, I think
they only did that once. They only delayed it. They took 1 year out for Assassin's Creed, and then they seem to have gone back to the annual cycle again.
Did they? I thought was there not 2 years between Origins and
Odyssey? I don't think so.
2 years as in they missed 1 year.
Yeah. And they missed one on Christmas. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Let's get on to the next story.
Okay. So Mixer have signed more streamers.
Woo! Before that, James, are we going to cover Last of Us or?
No, I was going to do that at the end. Let's do that. Okay, so also a whole bunch of other games have been delayed. So The Last of Us has been delayed until next year. Yeah, well, because who gives a fuck? I mean, it's just like, okay, so Last of Us has been delayed until next year.
Who can talk about arguably one of the biggest games that's coming soon?
Yeah, but it's been delayed. What more do you want us to say?
Well, people might not know about that, James. This is the news.
I think people already know. They want to hear insight. They don't want to hear that it's been delayed. Everyone knows it's been delayed.
Should we just scrap this entirely?
They're here for the news. They're here for the incisive commentary.
Should we scrap this entirely, James? Because people probably read this online.
No, because what they want to hear is us talk about it. What are we going to talk about with it being delayed? You're just going to say it's been delayed, and it's like, great, okay, let's move on to the next story.
Over to you, Matt. Go on.
Well, they've obviously used the whole. They've spoken about the fact they didn't want to, a crunch over Christmas. I'm not sure if they said Christmas especially, but they said they didn't want to crunch, and so it's going to be delayed. So obviously that's a good thing for the team and the staff. And the last thing we want is them to rush the game out, and it would be disappointing. So I'm really surprised that this delay has come so late, given that we only had a new trailer not too long ago, and it feels like they were nailed on for the original date. But obviously this is going to be a great game regardless, and I'd rather they didn't kill themselves to get done, and if it means it's a better quality game, then I absolutely don't mind. I mean, it's not a massive delay. It's like 2 months, I think, or so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm obviously incredibly psyched for it, but it feels very, very late in the day. But whatever, I guess they just said, given the climate and maybe the staff weren't happy or whatever, it's just let's take our time. But people will wait for this game. It's not really the end of the world. And
I do wonder if that's still just being trotted out as a trendy excuse.
Oh, it definitely. I think we're going to get a lot of that. Yeah.
But yeah.
What's the trendy? Sorry, I wasn't listening to the word of
how many
that
things have been cancelled lately, and it's like, it's because we don't want to put everyone through a really bad crunch period, and it's like,
while you were saying that, all I was thinking was crunch over Christmas to get the game out. We've all got a crunch over Christmas. Fuck, I'm too many syllables, but you get it. Just going through my head, that whole thing. I don't know. I mean, delays. I'm not one to get really pissed off about them, to be honest.
No, me neither.
Too much stuff anyway to play, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. Who's in a rush? It's fine.
Too many games. Right. Okay. Cool.
Okay. So Mixer have signed more streamers. They've signed this guy. So I don't know who any of these people are.
No, I know it's funny. Matt was going crazy at us in the WhatsApp group.
I really thought you would have heard this guy, but anyway.
Who?
No,
Go on.
Shroud. Okay, so is this Michael? Is this Michael Gresick?
Yeah, but Evan is Shroud. Everyone knows him as Shroud.
Right. Okay, so he apparently was a professional Counter-Strike Global Offensive player.
Apparently.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
He was.
But he had
Allegedly.
7 million followers on Twitch, but now he's been like moved over.
How many followers on Twitch?
7 million.
Fucking hell.
7 million,
That's a lot,
which
isn't
for
it?
context is approximately 7 million more people than have heard of me. Go on.
Yeah. But do you know how many he's got on his new Mixer channel?
Go on.
3?
He's got 70,000. So, he's giving out quite a lot there. But yeah, he's moved over to there. Also, there's another guy, and you see, this is why it's annoying that I lost my notes, because who's the other guy who's joined as well, Matt?
Gareth.
Steve.
Matt Murray.
It's some other guy, I don't know what his name was.
I've never heard of him either, to be fair.
It was King something.
we've got Shroud, we've got Ninja, we've got Brian.
This
All the
guy
big
is
ones.
called King. I'm probably going to butcher his name, but Gofferline? Gofferline? No,
How's it spelled? I can't. I've got it written in front of me.
A line. So I'm going to King Gofferline.
All right.
King Gofferline.
I'll do.
Anyway, I've heard of him, but then apparently he does loads of massive charity streams, and
cool.
apparently he's big in the variety and also Destiny communities. But I haven't heard of him. I did see this video thinking, oh wow, someone else has moved over.
Okay, well they're trying to build an entertainment platform, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So
They are.
I mean,
But do you know what this feels like to me?
why do you get angry about this?
I'm not. Why am I? I'm not angry. How am I angry?
All right, why do you turn your nose up at it? You're just like, oh, he's only got 70,000. What is the deal?
Because this reminds me of Bing. Is why it is. It feels,
the kids' TV show,
It's a Bing thing.
the search
the
engine.
Major Nelson thing. God.
No, it reminds me of the search engine. It's this sort of thing is just like, open the wallet and just buy a load of people, but it's still not going to make any difference because nobody really wants to use it. And everyone will just probably stick with Twitch anyway.
But it's fascinating to watch. I mean, we must only be. I mean, obviously Twitch is going to be massive, and as we covered on a couple of pods ago, even getting Ninja didn't really move the needle.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I had a look at the stats.
I still don't understand that fucking article you read, Matt. Oh yeah, to be fair, Mixer doubled the amount of viewers they've had, and they've had 7 million new subscribers. But yeah, they're not doing too well.
It's crazy. If you look, Twitch has got 75.6% of the market, right? And Mixer's got 3.2%. Even after Ninja joined it and everything. This just feels like Bing. It's the same thing. It's something that they feel that they need to be in. They need to have this sort of thing.
Let me put it this way. Let me put it this way, right? Do you know the story about satellite radio in America?
Go on, tell me.
So, Howard Stern used to get millions and millions and millions of listeners. It was ridiculous. He then joined satellite radio, and at the time they had 300,000 subscribers, I think, or 400,000 subscribers. And over a 10 to 15 year period, he's built that up. Not him alone, but satellite radio has built it up to the point where they've got millions. They merged. There was a merger between Sirius and XM. It's a whole story. It's really interesting. This isn't going to happen overnight, is it? So do you not think that Microsoft are in it for the long run and trying to build a platform with some of the most popular entertainers out there?
I mean, definitely.
It's not going to happen this month. It's something that builds. And the more people that start to move over, the more people are going to be checking out Mixer. And if they enjoy the service, then they'll be watching there as well. You can't expect... People like comfort, right? They don't like change. And even, massive Ninja fans might think, well, fuck that, I ain't going to download the Mixer app. Oh, look at it. And then when they do, go, oh, look how shit. It's not like Twitch, which is what they're comfortable with. But eventually... they build up their market, and that's how it works. So we can't write them off a few months after they've signed these people up.
No, that's what I'm saying. They're going to stick with this because, like Bing, they need to be in this market, and that's why they're just going to keep throwing money at it until eventually it does catch.
That's the other thing as well. Can you really get angry at them for throwing money at this?
No, Dave, I'm not angry with them. I couldn't care less. I don't know why you seem to think that I'm
just picking up this vibe from James, Sean.
Okay,
it's just a sort of aggressive disinterest, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You're misunderstanding my disdain for this, David. It's nothing to do with Microsoft doing this. It's just the fact that I couldn't care less about streaming.
It's just that it reminds James that he's old and out of touch.
But it was when you said it's like Bing, isn't it? They just come along, they start chucking money at everything.
That is a valid comparison. Why am I not allowed to make that comparison?
Isn't that a better thing to do? Like a platform paying for their entertainers rather than Twitch that doesn't.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, Twitch don't directly pay
them. Well, they get paid through advertising, don't they?
Yeah, of course they do. But they don't directly pay them, do they? Microsoft are offering them money to go onto their platform. Surely
but why should I care? I don't care, David.
Well, I don't know. Don't read it out the fucking news then, you dickhead.
Well, no,
pay out the news.
No, this is still news because this is something that's happening. But I don't know why you're getting annoyed with me, like thinking that you're not caring about this. I don't understand.
Right, okay, I'm totally misreading you then because you just sound so angry about this whole situation.
No, I'm just angry with streaming in general. I just don't care. This is the problem.
Okay.
Anyway,
right.
if we get back to the news story,
conversation, the WhatsApp, where like Matt was talking about like, don't you know who this person is? It wasn't just me that didn't know, was it? You guys didn't know either.
No, I don't know either. But I think it's interesting that like from a medium point of view,
yeah, exactly, and that's
interesting.
why I think it's valid for me to make the Bing comparison because from a media point of view, this is interesting. I just don't care about the streamers. I don't care who wins this battle or whatever, but it is interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is interesting. I mean, I will say
I don't care. It's interesting.
No, I don't care about streaming, but I do find this whole approach that they're taking interesting.
Right. Do you think it's a good thing?
What Microsoft are doing?
Yeah.
Guess if there's more competition, it's never a bad thing, is it, with this?
Not never a bad thing. No, sure. Yeah. Matt, what were you going to say?
I will say, yeah, Shroud is an interesting one because obviously everyone knows about Ninja and he's very much like a mainstream, like Naves, like big, like mainstream US like chat shows. People who are out of gaming know about him. Shroud, like, he's legit streamer, like with the former sort of, CS:GO player. He's genuinely incredible at these first person shooters. He's like a really good, but he seems a bit more like a normal guy, definitely more legit, less mainstream than Ninja. But the fact he's gone over as well I think that's a really big name. I mean, arguably Ninja's the one that's got the bigger pull because it's way more mainstream. But Shroud, I think, gives it way more legitimacy than just buying Ninja did. And I mean, I think there are only like two or three big other streamers away from making a real dent. I mean, if they got someone like Dr. Disrespect is like arguably the biggest person now coming on Twitch.
Every time I've seen him, he just fucking irritates me. I don't get it.
Fucking stupid wig and the glasses.
Yeah,
well, I mean, it's all the character, obviously. But yeah, I mean, he's massive. But... I don't know if they would get him, given recent controversy. But he's probably the biggest deal on Twitch right now. If they got him, and I mean, like, that's good for Mixer because it means they've got big players on there, but it's also really exciting for Twitch because that means a new generation of big streamers will come up and take the ranks of where people like Shroud and potentially Dr. Disrespect, but Ninja were filling. So it's also interesting seeing who's going to rise to the top now on Twitch, given that those big players have moved over. They can't take someone
controversial on, can they?
I mean, Dr. Disrespect, that would be massive because he commands the most amount of views.
I mean, and to be clear, when we say controversial, I mean broadcasted children having a wee in a toilet. Not on purpose, but yeah. I'm surprised it didn't get legal, to be honest.
I'm sure some people probably trying to do it. But yeah, this whole play is fascinating. I mean, it's definitely a long play. They're getting big legitimate streamers over now, so who knows? But it's fascinating to watch.
Okay. Well, it's only going to get bigger. It's only going to get bigger. All right, is that the news?
Speaking of only get bigger,
it's not the news. I mean, there's another bit as well because Microsoft have just announced this. What is it called? This is like the
Xbox All Access.
Xbox, yeah. So this was previously available in America, wasn't it? And now they've added it here, whereby it's a bit like a mobile phone contract where you pay £25 a month for 2 years, and you can get like an Xbox One X with Game Pass and Xbox Live, all that included. But then also after you've been paying for, was it 18 months? Mm-hmm. Then you can upgrade to like a new console like after that.
Yeah.
So it's really just like a mobile contract, it's the same thing. Although to begin with, they're doing it so that if you've been paying for 12 months, then you can upgrade to the what's it called, the Project Scarlet like stuff.
Right. So what do you get for it?
Okay, so there's 3 different tiers. You can either go for the One X, that's £25, or you can go for a One S, and that's, I think it was $19.99.
Yeah.
Yeah, or you can go for the all digital one, which is about $17.99.
That's £18, yeah.
Right. Okay. So what do you get? You get the console
Game Pass, and Xbox Live.
It's not too bad, is it?
Yeah, it's Game Pass Ultimate. So as a PC and the console one, 24 months of that as well.
I think what's interesting. So it's 0%, right? There's no interest on it.
It's not. There is like some. It's 0%, but the page they've got on Xbox is Page and also Smiths, because Smiths and Game are like the UK partners, and on their respective websites as well, it mentions 0%, but also mentions 18.9%, and that basically is if you fail to like do 2 payments or you're not making the minimum, then it suddenly flips from 0% to 18.9% per annum variable. So there's obviously risks there.
It's weird because. I can
actually. That's the terrible thing to say. People go through hardships and stuff. Yeah, we've all been there.
It's a strange setup. I can see it really working for some people, but like the cost of an Xbox now is not going to be the same as the cost of an Xbox in a year's time. I mean, you could say this about phones as well.
Anything. So I won't play it for a year. I mean,
exactly.
That's easy to say.
I mean, me and Matt. Well, Matt was working out earlier on like how much it would cost, and it's like if you buy one like outright from Amazon and also Game Pass Ultimate for the same period, it is quite a bit cheaper than doing it.
Is it? Okay. See, I was looking at it as like, they've probably looked at it as like, well, if you're paying full whack for Game Pass Ultimate for 2 years or whatever, it probably works out okay, but no one has. Everyone's found a deal of some sort, right? We've all done the £1 upgrade and stuff. In which case it's maybe not such a good deal.
Well, no, I mean it works for Microsoft because they're locking people in paying for Game Pass and Xbox Live for 2 years. But
that's why though this is. I mean, I think it's really good that they've done this now because they're testing the water with this, aren't they?
Yeah.
For like what comes later.
That's what I might be interested in.
I mean, this is a weird time to kind of do it in a sense because. Most people, this is the end of the generation, so who's going to want to pick up one of these at this stage? But then you're also thinking with the upgrade thing, it doesn't matter, does it? Because then you'll just get the new one anyway.
Yeah. So you'll essentially, it'll be the same as your phone. You'll just be every 2 years. You'll be like, right, well, like I'm surprised we didn't see this with the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X because that was only a half step. People might have been more tempted, like, well, if I just get it on contract, who gives a shit? Like it's rather than it being like, fuck, I need to find £300-400 or whatever.
But this is also where Game Pass is so good. Yeah. Like for this, isn't it? Because it's like if you get this, that's a pretty good deal. Like you wouldn't probably have to buy that many other games.
Yeah,
like
exactly. The sales pitch of like, look, it's this much per month, but you don't pay anything for the console, and you probably don't need to buy any games either. Like that's good. But
this is where like even Sony are never going to do anything like this. But even if they did, this is the problem because you've got like if say they bundle in PlayStation now, it's like well okay great, but there's nothing on this. Yeah. Like as in they're not. If they were sticking the first party PlayStation games on there, amazing, that'd be great. But they're not even doing that. So it's
and to be clear, like this is worlds apart from like. Fucking Bright House. Have I ranted about Bright House on the podcast before?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. So it's nowhere near as bad as that. Like companies like that have existed and have been exploiting people with not as much cash for a long time. So this is relatively all right, I would say. But
just a very boring question. Did they mention anything about faulty equipment?
No, I don't think so.
You get a 1 year guarantee on a new Xbox, and
good point.
If it breaks within that 1 year, do you then have to pay?
Still tied in,
I mean, you'd hope, wouldn't you, that they'd have it like similar to like with phones or whatever, where it's like
because with phones, if you're out of contract, you're still paying for your device even if it's broken.
Yeah, it's the same deal. I
assume. So it says it in the small print. Yeah, basically you have that 1 year, and if your console and/or controller malfunction after that 1 year period, you will be responsible.
Yeah.
So it doesn't give you a 2 year warranty.
I hadn't even thought about that. Because that would have been a nice sweetener as well, wouldn't it? To think, I don't have to worry if my console breaks. They'll repair it for free.
I'm sure Game will sell you insurance anyway, like for it. So
they will. They will extended warranty. Anything else?
Okay, last piece is
some
Stadia news. Come on.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So I mean, this came out last week. Yeah, do you want me to do it or not?
Yeah, I just thought this has been a very argumentative show. Roll on the Stadia news.
What's that, Dave?
It's partly mine. I think also James and his attitude. Go on.
Okay. Anyway, you might have to wait if you want to play Stadia, even if you pre-ordered it.
Oh, come on. Are you kidding me?
Oh, man.
So what this is this is coming out.
I mean, it's nowhere near as bad as the headline, is it?
Well, it's a bit crap though, Dave.
It's
Isn't it? I mean,
not.
it launches on the 19th, and what they're doing is, if you've pre-ordered it, you don't necessarily get it on the 19th. It'll be within 2 weeks of that you'll get it. So,
which sounds like every fucking console launch that's ever happened.
Yeah, but not intentionally. Like, they don't, like...
What?
You know...
Wait.
Well, no, okay, if you order something for it to come out on a certain day...
Yeah.
Unless they tell you, okay, there's going to be, like, a massive day because we haven't got enough, like, stock or whatever like that, generally you'd expect that you were going to get it on the launch day, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would. When you pre-order it, you expect it on launch day, but how many times have consoles come out where people have had a phone call from where they've pre-ordered saying, we haven't got enough stock to cover you,
a lot.
You'll get it in the launch window. This is absolutely
Do you not think it stings a little bit differently with Stadia, given that part of the sales pitch is there's no console? And obviously, there, if you pre-ordered it, there is hardware involved, but
also the fact that it's just a bunch of Chromecasts. Yeah. It's not like they're it's not like this is like when there were shortages with stuff like the Xbox 360 and stuff, or with new generations of consoles, it's usually because there's hardware that they can't manufacture enough in time or whatever. This is just a load of Chromecasts, isn't it?
So do you think that this is
James? You're forgetting the pad.
Yeah, but there's the control. Yeah, that's the controller as well, and that's part of it. I think what makes it worse than consoles is that you're not ordering from a retailer; you're ordering for the supplier. Yeah. So it is kind of like, well, you know exactly how many units that you were likely to have.
Well, and this is it, and they knew this all along because they pointed at their original blog post. It says, well, actually, it only says they'll start arriving on November the 19th.
Yeah, that's awful.
It's first come, first served,
I do think it is slightly worse. But when I read the headline, I thought that everyone would get their hardware on day one. It's just the service wouldn't be live.
I read that as well.
We're going to turn the computers on. Yeah, give us a minute.
Well, we don't know that yet because maybe that'll be the case as well. That'll be
fun.
Well, it could. I mean, all right, I'm putting the tinfoil hat on now, but do you wonder if this is them doing this is their way of sort of staggering it and doing a bit of a stress test
I was
as they go?
that.
Definitely.
So you think that, but then you'd think if anybody can launch something like this without there being problems, it should be Google. They have all the internet servers in the world. It shouldn't really be a problem. Mm-hmm. This isn't like OnLive starting up, is it? It's it should be fine.
Have I spoken on the amount of times I've heard you say, well, it's like OnLive, isn't it? And now you're saying it's not like OnLive. So what is it?
Well, I've not said that, Matt. That's David.
It is both and not like OnLive, depending on what suits the current
exactly.
discussion.
Depending on what the narrative is at that given time.
Have I mentioned on the show that I've been invited to a Stadia party?
You lucky bastard.
I don't think I mentioned on the show.
That.
So, I've talked in the past about the guys nearby who play COD every week, and mysteriously I stopped getting invited, which I think is just because I stopped going, which is fair enough. Out of the blue, they've invited me to their little Stadia launch party, so I'm properly excited. I think it's going to be interesting.
Have they just got one?
What?
Have they just got one of them?
I don't know.
He's
not said. He's just sent me an invite, and he's just like, "Yeah, Stadia launch party." So
are they really into Destiny 2?
They're not, but if they want to get into it, I'll move over to Stadia. That's fine.
That would be hilarious if they said, "Okay, sign into your account here, Sean," and then sorry, we've accidentally transferred your save onto the Stadia system.
And so we can't get it back.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'll love it, Sean. If you go over there and they're like, "We got Stadia," and then they plug it all in, get it sorted, and they're like, I thought this was Netflix for games. Where's all the games?
Where's all the games? I mean, what would be interesting is
you go into the tower in Destiny, and it's just Matt in there. Oh, you're right, Sean.
right, Sean.
So they've so they got this amazing setup in the home office, and they've got an absolutely obscene broadband connection as well. So if it doesn't work there, it does not work anywhere. So that's going to be interesting.
Sean, I presume in the invite it says the first 2 weeks. It says it's just over 2 weeks, is it? It's not actually on the 19th.
That's true, yeah, because they don't actually know when the thing's going to turn up. I've not asked him about that. I probably should.
How long before Matt asked to come?
I've asked twice already in this very pod.
Lovely guys, you would almost certainly be welcome.
I mean, I'm a founder, so that's pretty big deal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's first come, first served. I mean, I ordered this on the first day pre-orders were announced. So if I don't get it,
all right, then.
I'll be livid. Absolutely livid.
Matt, can I ask you a question, though?
No.
What is the difference between the Founders Edition and the Premier Edition?
Well, glad you asked. The Founders Edition has got the blue pad.
Yes.
And the other one has got the white pad. and
they're both very nice, to be fair.
Yeah, and the Founders one has got it's got like an extra 3-month pass for your mate. I don't think that's in the Premier Edition. Yeah, it's weird because they said they sold out of Founders, and they're like, "Oh, we've got Premier Edition now." And it's like, yeah, the differences are very, very minimal, but it's obviously a colour and I don't know, some other stuff. Don't matter. Founder, mate.
All right, cool. News done.
That's it. That's all done.
I love the idea that if you've got the Founders one, it just means that for the next few years, people will come round to your house and see the different colour control and go, "Oh, Matt, what were you thinking?"
No, Sean. No. Just like Fallout, there's actually an icon difference as well. So you're gonna know I'm a Founder, baby. everyone in the clan of two is gonna know.
You're going to make a TCGS Stadia clan, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Assuming it has that's some sort of group functionality.
Me and my boy.
There'll be a good 3 or 4 of you, I think.
Well, actually, based on if we were to we did a poll in the audience at EGX. There was about 120 people watching, and we had 2 people put their hands up and say they've pre-ordered Stadia.
Everyone else was too scared. Everyone else was too scared to admit it.
Didn't one of them also admit that he hadn't done, and he just said it because he felt bad doing that?
No,
was that a thing?
No, two of them
I'm
said
pretty
yes.
certain that was a thing. Actually.
So what is that? 1.1? What is that? 1.1?
It doesn't matter.
1.1% of our audience?
2%, yeah. So yeah, scale that up to our actual full listenership. That's
actually, there's fuck ton of TCGS listeners getting it.
It'll be all right.
Okay, cool. Should we just talk about the Outer Wilds? The Outer World.
Here we go. Here we go.
That was the first opportunity, and you fucked it.
I've been saying it to myself all day. The Outer Worlds. Should we get there? Should we talk about that first? Because it's just James and I that have played it. Is that right?
Yeah.
How far into are you, James?
I'm only about an hour or so in. I've barely played it.
I'm probably 2 to 3 hours in. Have you got to the? Have you left the first planet yet?
No.
Right. Okay. So he's not done the first major mission. Because I wanted to talk to you about that. Are you going to kick off? It's a very minor spoiler, I guess.
No, you can go for it. It's
cool, right, okay. Because I think this is a good way to talk about this game, to be honest. For those of you that don't know what the Outer Worlds is, and I wouldn't be surprised because it's one of those games that might have
some noise.
By. It has done, but so it's Obsidian, right? And they're the team behind Fallout New Vegas.
Yes.
So it is very Fallout feely, isn't it, James?
Absolutely. I was shocked by even down to the fonts and stuff. It feels like it's pretty much exactly the same.
The headshots of all the characters when you're talking to them and all this sort of stuff.
And also,
the companions,
the character designs look really the same and everything.
Character designs look similar. Yeah. But I think what hit me first of all is firstly how good it looks, because Fallout has its no.
Well, this is that I wanted to bring up actually.
Are you playing on the original Xbox?
Yeah, you see, this is something which this is a bit of a problem actually, because I'm shocked by. Well, I guess I shouldn't be shocked, but it really does not look good on the original Xbox.
Oh man, it looks fantastic on the X.
I mean, Dave, I'm getting texture loading all the time.
I've had a bit of that. Yeah, I'm getting that all the time.
And it also the frame rate as well isn't great in
frame
places either.
Been fine for me.
Yeah, it's one. I was saying to Matt, I think it's really one of those games where I really wish I was playing this on a better machine, because it really doesn't look good. I mean, it's not as bad as the other game that I'm going to talk about later, but there is a lot of pop in and all that kind of stuff, which really you're exploring this massive world, and it just feels it breaks the illusion quite a lot when you've suddenly got buildings appearing and stuff like that. It's not great.
But one thing that wouldn't have been affected, the writing is just fantastic, and that hits you in the face straight away. I mean, when you find out so the first thing you basically, it starts off, you're cryogenically frozen, and someone wakes you up, and they tell you that it is actually, you were supposed to be frozen for 10 years, was it?
Yeah.
But no one woke you up for 70 years. So it's 70 years later, and this dude unfreezes you and says, right, I need you to do some shit. I've saved your life. you can come and do stuff for me. And it's all a bit dodgy because you see him being chased by what you assume is the space police as he's leaving the place where you've been frozen. And he says, I want you to go and meet this captain. When you finally meet the captain, I assume you've seen that bit, James.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, hilarious. It was just really funny. And I won't explain what it is. I don't want to spoil it. But what I am going to do is spoil the first mission because I think this kind of sums up my excitement for the game. And it made me think, holy shit, I remember Fallout New Vegas and I remember how I had to adapt the way that I thought about playing games just for that game because it wouldn't work in other games, but it did for that specific game, and it works for this as well. So if you don't want to hear about the first mission, I'm sure if you're interested in this game, you've already done it, then please skip forward like 5-10 minutes. But right, so here's what's happened. You go to a town, you meet the sort of mayor of the town. Have you met him yet, James?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and it is clear that he is a bit of an arsehole.
Yeah, he's a bit of a wrong one.
You walk into a meeting where he's talking about how they need to fix up Bessie because it's not working properly and blah, blah, blah. And then as you listen to the conversation, you slowly start to realise that Bessie's actually a human and they treat humans working in the town as machines, basically. Like, they're owned by a corporation. They're not... That's the way they see it. They're the corporation's property once they start working for them, and you realise that this guy's a bit of a dick. So you're after a part for your spaceship so that you can leave the planet and go to where you need to go. And he says the only way that you can do it is by you've got to do something to a power generator. I didn't quite understand like the build up to it, but it was something like you need to divert the power and then you can use this power generator for your spaceship. And you find out through chatting to people that there's actually a group of people that have left that town and set up camp elsewhere. So before you go to the power station, you think, fuck it, I'm going to go and look for this camp and meet these people that have deserted the town. It's really funny, actually, because I was expecting a big, long trek across desert for ages to find these people like you do in Fallout.
It's just up the hill, isn't it?
They're just up the hill. It's just they've gone about 10 metres away. So you find them and you start speaking to them and they've said, yeah, we were treated like slaves, essentially, and we'd had enough and we'd left and we've set up camp here and it's this beautiful sort of oasis, and she's a lot friendlier and all this happens. Sorry, the bit that I missed out is that when you're in the original town talking to what is the mayor essentially of that town, he gives you one of the people that lives there as a companion, so she's following you about doing this mission. You go to the power plant, there's some stuff that you need to do, and then you've got the choice. You can either divert all power to the town, or you can divert power to the deserters, basically, and their new sort of oasis that they've built up. And you've got to make that moral choice. What I thought was very, very interesting is that I turned around to my companion and said, what are your thoughts? What do you think I should do? Mm-hmm. And she was like, you need to divert it to the town. There's a lot of my friends live there, my family live there. And I thought, of course, because you were there where I picked you up, because I went into this thinking this is a good choice and a bad choice, right? Like you do with most games. There's a good choice and a bad choice. A Maverick, there's a Renegade and a Paragon, that sort of stuff. And it just wasn't that. So I was like, this character really wants me to divert it to the town, but I was going to choose the good choice and send it to the deserters, right? So I was kind of a bit thrown by that. But then I thought, right, no, I'm still going to direct the power away from the town. So I did that. And I turned it off for the night. I made the choice, turn the console off. And then I spoke to John. I said, "Oh, John, did you do that first mission?" And he said, "Yeah." And I went, "Well, what did you choose? Did you choose the town or the deserters?" And he went, "Oh, I directed the power to the town." And I went, "You fucking scumbag! Why would you do that?" And he said, "Well, I was then going to go and kill the mayor and then become the mayor of that town." And I went, I didn't even think to do that. He said, yeah, but when I turned up, he went to have a go at me and I used my dialogue stats. They were high enough to convince him to step down of his own accord and I took over. So now I'm just mayor of that town. And I was like, wow, that is so much better than my one. I can't believe I didn't do that. Is incredible, and that is why I'm so excited about the Outer Worlds, because I remembered then back to Fallout New Vegas and how you could do things in like you could have an idea in your head within the narrative of the game, and you could play it out the way you want it to play out. And I didn't have that mindset on going into this. I was, like the million story games that I've played where they either try and force you down a path or there's a good and bad choice, and that's about it. Whereas these games are special because they don't do that. There are so many different things that you can do. Eventually, I was happy with my choice because I then went back to the Oasis and they all opened up to me because I directed out to them and they told me stories about why they left that place. And you think, actually, it's probably best that place just died. It's horrific there. So I was kind of happy with my choice in the end. But I love that. I love that shit. And it's just, I've not played enough of it to really get into how, whether it works or not. I really wanted to do a lot of side quests in that area, but unfortunately, I was finding the combat really challenging. And it feels like I'm hoping I can go back there and do the side quests later because it feels like I'm a little bit underpowered at the moment. So,
what difficulty are you playing on?
Just regular, just whatever the default is.
Because I heard lots of people saying it's like too easy and they were having to knock it up. But
yeah, but then I've heard that essentially the first 5 to 10 hours, no matter what you're playing out, are quite difficult.
Right.
But after that, you get way overpowered way too quickly.
Right.
Oh, okay, cool.
Totally fine with that. I've not got a problem with that at all.
I've also heard that like the first 3 or 4 hours are really like talky heavy as well. Like
Good.
It doesn't like build up, which I'm really
I'm
happy
loving the
about.
dialogue. Yeah, I'm loving the dialogue in this.
See, I have done some side missions and they've been great. Like they've been very interesting. Like especially did you do the one with the graveyard? Like
no, that sounds great.
Yeah, because there's
that's
this guy
the one just outside the town.
Yeah, and you have to go and pick up he's like people owe him money, and you have to like go to each person to get the cash. And obviously they've all got their own stories, but like one of them in particular, like they're like, oh, he's a bit, he's a very strange guy. Like we don't know what he's up to and everything. But then when you find out why he's strange, it's really good. Like it's really interesting.
Oh, man, I shouldn't have left that planet so quickly. I want to go back and do some more stuff there. Like the other thing I really like, if you go off the beaten path, you find all these creatures that are just horrific, and you just think, fucking hell. So I was running away a lot in this because your weapons are pea shooters to start with, and it's just go on.
What do you think of the the VATS replacement?
Oh
thing?
My god, it is so much better, James.
Yeah.
Oh god,
because it's basically VATS. Just slow motion in it, and it works much better.
I hated VATS so much. Mm-hmm. In fact, actually, the combat in this feels really good. I mean, it doesn't feel as good as a proper first-person shooter, but it's miles better than Fallout 4. I wasn't a massive fan of that game. Ditching VATS and replacing it with this slow-motion stuff is just way better. But yeah, no, I've loved pretty much every character I've spoken to in this has had something interesting to say, and there's been a lot of funny moments. Your AI in the spaceship is brilliant. Do you know what I mean?
The bluff at the beginning was
all that sort of stuff is just really funny.
I mean, some of the dialogue in that cannery, like in the factory, is pretty funny as well. Did you come across the guy at the suicide thing?
No.
Oh, okay, because that's also pretty because there's this whole. I mean, I'll just tell you this because it's not like a massive. It's just a conversation like sort of thing. Like there's basically you meet this one person as part of that quest for like picking up the Jews from the graveyard guy. And what it is this, it turns out that this person has been paying the dues for somebody else who killed themselves. And like, she just is annoyed because she's like, well, he was technically company property. So what he did to himself was vandalism, actually, by killing himself. Because it's like the hyper-capitalism kind of thing of like, he's owned actually by this company. And, he's, by killing himself, it's, he's harmed the company. And, it's vandalism. Yeah, there's loads of stuff like that in it, which, it's quite interesting. It's
I am very excited about going back to this because I didn't like Fallout 4. I know this isn't a Fallout game, but it's clearly the touchstone you go with, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like Fallout 4. But I still played it to the end because I like the world building in those games. this feels like it's got that, plus excellent dialogue, plus half decent combat. So I've got no doubt that I'll go on to really enjoy this. But yeah, I'm going to spend a lot more time with it this week, I think.
Yeah, this is... I mean, I as I said, I've hardly played very much of it yet, but I can already feel this is going to be my game for it the next couple of months, probably. I'm just going to put a lot of time into it because
plow through.
It feels like exactly the kind of game that I really love, and yeah, I'm sure it's going to be good. The only other slight issue I've got is with the size of the text in the game.
I'd heard about this. It's tiny, right?
It's absolutely tiny, and like you have to sit like really close so you can read stuff. It's a bit irritating.
I've not had that. It's not been a problem for me.
It may be different on One X. I don't know, but on the one I'm playing on, it's quite uncomfortable. It's uncomfortably small.
Right, okay. Maybe it's like the text is designed for 4K.
I know, but I've heard loads of people complain about this, and they can't all be standard Xbox owners. I've seen a lot of people tweet about this.
I've not had an issue with it, although to be fair, I'm playing with headphones now, so it's I can
So you can see better.
I'm very rarely reading it. I'm just listening to the dialogue rather than reading stuff. So yeah, no, I mean the upgrade system seems all really cool. All that stuff seems like way slicker. The other problem with Fallout games is that the menus were so laggy. Whereas in this, the only laggy part is when you try and load up the map, and it takes a while to boot that up.
Also, the other thing I'm liking about this is it doesn't feel... I didn't feel overwhelmed either, like in the menu systems, with like stuff that I've got to do or
pretty
figure
straightforward.
out. It's quite simple. Like the upgrade paths and everything seem quite straightforward, and I was quite pleased with that. Like, I mean, I'm focusing just on like guns and speech, like the two things that I'm putting a lot into at the moment, and it seems to be working very well. It's great.
Yeah, really, really enjoying it. We will be talking about that a lot for the rest of the year, I think, James.
And you haven't had much in the way of bugs compared to a standard Fallout game?
Oh, God, no. I mean, the standard Fallout game is buggy as fuck. The only weird thing that I've had is that when I died, I found a really cool weapon, and then I died, and when it reloaded my save, that weapon wasn't in my inventory anymore. And I went around looking for it, just in case I'd missed it, but I hadn't. So it just disappeared. So then I had to load a save before that, and then I went and picked up that weapon again. So I've got it again now. But
it's funny because like I'm still doing like constant multiple saves all the time because it feels like a Fallout game, and it feels like I need to do that.
Yeah, just in case it goes wrong.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, yeah, those games. But do you remember like when we were getting into Fallout? We did this with 3 and 4, where we would just text each other throughout. About various different stories and things that you found and stuff. And I'm looking forward to doing that again. Definitely. Yeah. Cool. I'm also really interested in Disco Elysium.
Yeah. Because God, sorry,
you guys have been raving about this week.
Fuck yeah, man. Like, I am really excited to play Outer Worlds, but I am also a bit worried that Disco Elysium might have ruined it for me. Which is unfair because I
was fully intending to play Outer Worlds this weekend. I was like, okay, brilliant, it's out, and then I played a Fallout game before, quite pumped, saw reviews, great, and then I started playing this, and I didn't really want to play anything else.
So yeah, it is an unfair comparison, really. It's just because Disco Elysium is unusual in that it looks like one of your, like a Baldur's Gate or a Planescape Torment, or more recently, like Divinity 2. So sort of. Very sort of, computer like top-down RPG, clicking, moving your guy around, having conversations, and normally getting into fights. But
funnily enough, it reminded me of when I looked it up on YouTube or whatever and watched a bit of gameplay footage. It reminded me of the original Fallout games.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's got that look about it.
Yeah, to look at. Yeah, totally. And it sort of picks up where we had Planescape Torment, which is pretty old now, and then more recently we had Torment Tides of Numenera, which again, they were that sort of game, and they had combat in them, but the whole trick was like, but if you're clever enough with your dialogue choices, you can actually skip a lot of the combat, and that was felt really keenly in Torment Tides of Numenera because the combat was a bit shit, and it kind of felt like they were like, but the fun is in trying to avoid combat, so it was as if they just hadn't put that much thought into it. Whereas Disco Elysium, it's just like, guess what, no combat. It's just talking, but it still has this sort of RPG style sort of stats system. but where those stats are just different aspects of your own psyche or personality. So you have these like 24 different stats, and they're all things like empathy or authority, or there's like one called Inland Empire, which just sort of is your ability to just sort of have hunches and gut feelings. And like intimidation is one of them, or that's not necessarily. I think it's called. What's it called? Something else. I can't remember.
Yeah, because there's authority, isn't it, which leads into that.
Well, but like authority is a good example of how interesting these skills get, because it's so like the authority skill it's partly about how authoritative you can be, but it's also just about your general understanding of authority. So you might be having a conversation with like a bunch of people, and one person will say something, and your authority skill will kick in and go, that's the person everyone respects. If you want to turn anyone, you turn him, and you'll get everyone on your side. And basically, depending on how many points you have in these various statistics, it affects how, like, obviously how good you are at certain things, but also it can affect the chance of like these certain parts of your personality or whatever just chipping in at certain points. So like someone might say something, and if it relates to a puzzle, for example, like your logic skill might kick in and be like, hang on, they said this, but actually that doesn't work. Like that doesn't make sense according to, someone else that told you this, that, and the other, and stuff like that. And it's fascinating because obviously there's 24 of these stats, and depending on where you put your points, it affects the likelihood of these things kicking in. So you can end up having like a completely, I imagine you can have like a very different experience based on where you've put your stats. And you can have conversations with these different bits of your brain. Like, so one of them might chip in mid-conversation, and rather than actually verbalizing your response, you can be like, well, hang on, like empathy. And start having a chat with the bit of your brain that understands empathy and trying to figure something out before you actually respond. And it's fascinating. The
really fascinating thing about that is that typically in any sort of game where you have like skill points and you can earn them in this game and then you use them to spend on these sort of on these various elements of your psyche. Mm-hmm. Typically, I'll say, okay, well, I'm going to build this sort of. I want this sort of build, or I want my character to be this sort of person. But for me, it's been totally different. I'm actually haven't spent them until I've really found a scenario where I feel like I need them.
Yeah,
I may. So rather than me saying I'm going to put it all into authority, all into this, I don't spend them until I have a conversation where I'm like, oh, there's these bits where it's almost like a roll of the dice based on your stats, whether you can succeed or fail in these certain conversational sort of crossroads. And it's only when I get to one end, I'm like, I really want to do that. What do I need to put my skill points into that means I can succeed in that conversation? Mm-hmm. So it's totally changed the way I would normally think about these sorts of skill trees in a game.
How are you earning skill points then?
Literally just by. So basically just having conversations, and so like your like quests or whatever will be like, get this bit of information out of this person, or solve this puzzle, or this or that or the other, and just by doing them, that's how you get your experience points.
And what's the puzzle solving involved?
So when I say puzzle solving, I mean sort of it's a bit sort of point and click adventure-y in that sometimes it might be going to a certain place and finding something, and then investigating an item, figuring something out about it, and then going to someone else and say, hey, I've noticed this. What do you think of that? And then getting more information out of them, and that sort of thing. But it's just so fascinating the way this skill system works. Like, and having conversations with other people who are playing it and sort of tackling situations in completely different ways. Like my characters, like noticing things or commenting on things that other characters wouldn't have necessarily spotted. And it's just so interesting. Like the setting is bizarre as well. Like I saw one review that referred to it as a alternate history 1950s, which is wrong.
I mean, the time in which it's set is fascinating because you never actually know when it's set. They say things like, oh, the 51 or 48 or 20, but like, is it 1920? Is it like 2220?
Yeah, it could
and I'll
be
discover
either.
something tonight. I'm like, okay, you're talking about things that are clearly not 18th or 19th century. What does this even mean?
Yeah, and it's not really set on Earth either, is it? I think it's like from the way they describe the geography and stuff. It's like obviously there are similarities. Like the place you're in is called Revachol, and it's like most people talk with a sort of a French accent. But like the main hook of it is, and again, I think this is a sort of an interesting nod to, so like Planescape Torment, which is I think like 20 years old now. The whole hook of that was you're like this immortal character who wakes up with no memories, right? And you're trying to piece your life together. And the whole point, it turns out like you've been immortal for ages. And as you're walking around town, people are like, hey, I met you 3 days ago. You're a fucking dick or whatever. And you're like, oh shit, I'm like, this is really weird. I'm finding out stuff about my past that I didn't know about. In Disco Elysium, you're a cop who has basically gone on like a 3-day bender and has woken up having lost his memory because he's just been absolutely caning the booze and possibly also drugs the entire time. But the character you play as is a fucking scumbag, and like it makes that so clear. And it's like in an interview, the developer said it's a game about reapplying for your job as a human being, which I think is a fascinating way of putting it, because you're playing as this guy. Like, he's not a typical game hero by any means. Like, he literally wakes up in his underpants. Like your first task is to like try and find all his clothes that are like strewn about this shitty hotel room that he's trashed. Like, he's just not a nice guy particularly. Certainly not more recently. But you grow to love him to an extent, don't you, Matt? Or I have anyway. I mean, I guess it depends on how you play.
Especially as you start to piece his story back together. Yeah, you basically wake up. You wake up incredibly hungover, and then it's about trying to piece together what exactly has happened. And you know, he doesn't
like
even
James
know,
at EGX.
Yeah, he doesn't even know like what his name is. Yeah. Like, he's lost his like badge, his gun. So there's like, and also at the beginning, as Sean said, even it's like you got to get your clothes together and like find your shoe and stuff. So it's all a bit like of a mess, and it's so well realised that he's like hungover and it's in like a total state with the dialogue, and it's like it paints the picture so well, I think.
Okay, but then I mean he can't have been hungover for much of the game. So what's the
Well, so like the arc is
what's
that like
tipping you over the edge? So
I'm now on like day 4 of the game. So each day is quite long. Like, obviously it's not real time, but it's takes a while to get through each day in the game. I'm now on day 4, and I really feel like I'm sort of getting back on my feet now. But this is a game where day 3 I was like absolutely exhilarated because I found a shirt that didn't have piss stains on it. Right. This is like, that's how fucked he is at the start. And like, it's so, like, it's implied and basically stated that part of the reason he went on this 3-day bender is because he was suicidal. And it's really like unflinching about that. Like, people are describing to you like things you did and said. And you're like, and it's not funny. Like, you start out like, these are going to be stories about funny things I do when I was drunk. And people are like, no, you were like shouting and raving all around the hotel about how you think you're fucking worthless and all this stuff. And it's really uncomfortable. And for a good, like, I don't know, like the first quarter of the game, there are dialogue options where like people will tell you about bad stuff you've done. And one of your available responses will be like, yeah, I should have fucking killed myself. Like, it goes to like some incredibly dark places. But it's so well balanced with like funny stuff or heartwarming stuff or really sad stuff. And it's amazing like how many tonal shifts it pulls off, and it all seems to work.
Sean,
yeah.
Can I ask you about death in the game?
Yeah.
Because I remember you saying that you died like by accident.
Yes.
And does this happen a lot?
So yeah,
or is it?
So you have like one stat which is endurance, and I just set that. I was like, well, the game's not really got any combat in it, so I'm just going to set that to 1.
I know.
Yeah, so it turns out basically that means if you fail at doing one even vaguely strenuous thing, you have a heart attack and keel over. So for me, that was sort of 3 or 4 hours in. I kicked a furnace and hurt my foot and had a heart attack and fell over. For some people, that happens when you wake up in your hotel room, your tie is like, there's like a, what are they called?
It's a ceiling fan.
Ceiling fan, thank you. It's like spinning around on that, and you have to try and grab it. And yeah, if you fail the endurance check to do that, you can have a heart attack and keel over. So yeah, if you haven't started playing this yet, and you are going to, F5 is quick save. Make use of it. There are weird, stupid things that can kill you. Or alternatively, just make sure you have.
I sat in a really uncomfortable chair.
Oh yeah,
and it's like, and I lost a bit of health. I was like, okay, well, I'm sure that's fine. And I died.
Yeah.
And it comes out of like this like newspaper like story in like the death scene saying like, you know, cops, you know, it's basically a bit of a silly headline. Yeah, I've died in an uncomfortable chair. I got a gun and I thought I'd like try and freak some people out that I was trying to interview, get some answers out, and I put the gun in my mouth. I was like, look, is this what you want? Is this what you want? And then I killed myself to prove a point. But yeah, you can die of loads of silly little things.
Yeah, and it's not like you realise
it's not to the point. It's not to the point where it's like becomes really irritating.
No, it's very rare, and I think, and once you realise it's a thing, it's fine. It was just because I had absolutely no idea that this could just happen, and like I say, and it's only because of like the build I had. So like I say, I only had like 1 point in endurance, which meant I had 1 hit point. So doing any vaguely strenuous thing would potentially cost me that 1 hit point. So I mean, yeah, just knock that up to 2, and you'll be fine. Or just save regularly. So yeah, that was sort of bullshit, and it did cost me because the auto save is really sporadic. So that cost me like an hour of play, which was really frustrating.
I'm saving a lot.
But it's just obviously don't want to go into it too much because it's spoilers and everything. But yeah, I just can't quite believe the range of things I've felt playing this. The writing is just unbelievable. It might be the best written game ever. Like it's just absolutely absurd how witty and funny it is. And even like, you know, it's a game that encourages you to like, if you do like a skill check, it encourages you to just roll with the failure a lot. So like there's this one instance, you're at this hotel you've been staying in, you eventually talk to the barman, he's like, by the way, you owe me like 150 quid for damages and you know, the room you've been staying in and stuff. And you can make one of your skills is called savoir faire, which is basically sort of like skill in terms of like sleight of hand or being able to sneak away from a situation. So in this case, you can make a savoir faire check to just be like, right, okay, well, I'll sort that and I'll get back to you. See you later, and sneak out of the room. If you fail that, you instead like, I think did you do this, Matt? Because I just heard about it from someone else.
Yeah, I did.
Do you want to tell them what happens?
So I basically. So it says you owe me money, and I'll say, yeah, that's fine. And then basically you have the option of running away whilst putting your middle fingers up to swear. And I sort of like I ran away, ran backwards, jumped in the air, and sort of like put my middle fingers up. And then, but in the air, I realised there was a person in a wheelchair behind me, and I sort of like crashed into that person. So it wasn't like a cool sort of like fuck you moment, like leaving the establishment and not paying the man. I basically ran and jumped and fell over into someone else, and
because doesn't it like it freezes when you've jumped and you've turned around in midair and you're flipping this guy off with both hands, and like you can either just shout like "fuck you, asshole," or there's just one option where he just kind of thinks to himself like, "Why am I flipping him off with both hands? Why did I do that?" And it's just it's fucking great. I absolutely love it.
What you playing on?
It's PC only. That's one of the reasons you might not have heard more about it. Apparently, the developers have said they would love to bring it to consoles. I don't know where they're up to with that. I mean, the success it's had, I would assume that is like pretty much definitely happening now.
Yeah.
Would it work functionally fine on a console, do you think? Like with controllers and all that kind of thing? Or is it...
why not?
Yeah, because it's super basic. You basically it's like you're clicking on locations for your character to move, and then it works easy on a console.
Yeah. It does
it's not even a Mac Steam game, so I had to like install Windows to play this. But I heard so many good things about it. I thought it would.
You know, Switch or Apple Arcade. Could it work on a phone?
Probably too much text, to be honest. It might be a bit fiddly. Don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot to read.
It does this weird thing where it engages with politics a bit. Like one of the central story points is that there's a union debacle going on. So you're at this dock, and basically there's a strike going on, and there's a bunch of people like as the union call them scabs who just want to work, and then union are like fighting for workers' rights and stuff. And it the way the union is portrayed is very much like it's what right-wing people fear unions will turn out to be, in that it's like they do just throw the weight around and make ridiculous demands, and they're basically like the mafia, aren't they, Matt? They're like ridiculously powerful. But then
they're basically untouchable.
Yeah. But then as the game goes on, you realise it kind of just takes a really dim view of like absolutely any viewpoint.
Power structure.
Yeah. Like it's and it's sort, and it makes a point of like the union became the way it did because it just happens to be this one area of the city that like these two police departments couldn't actually figure out who had jurisdiction over it, so they just both kind of left it, and the union just sort of had to fill this void because no one was looking after people or preventing bad things from happening, and that was sort of how it escalated. And so, sort of complicated reasons behind it. I mean, it's also worth noting that most of the dev team are from Estonia, which, I mean, James, you might know better than me, but I know has a long history of being sort of occupied and then non-occupied and then occupied again by the Soviets, so maybe that colours their approach somewhat. But then, like, equally, like, you can be, you can, like, it's the game reads your dialogue choices, right? So if you're saying a lot of left-wing things, your brain will kick in, and then you'll have a conversation with your brain where your brain starts going like, "You're a communist," and you can be like, "Yeah, fuck yeah." Or like if you're trying to be balanced, it'll kick in and say like, "You want to be a centrist, don't you?" And you can say yes, but then it also has this thought system, which is really strange. So certain like bits of dialogue or story events or whatever can give you thoughts, which you have like these slots in your brain, so you can be like, right, I've had a thought that I want to be a centrist, and so then you assign a slot and you click internalize, and then it takes like a certain amount of in-game time, and it's basically for every thought there is a problem, which is like the character's thought, right, I've thought of this and I need to figure it out, and then after a certain amount of time in the game they'll figure it out and there'll be some sort of solution to it, and then you get like a stat bonus and stuff. And it's so like the communism one, it's sort of just sort of comes to nothing. It's like, it's already been tried, didn't work. But then, like, if you pursue the sort of centrist thing, it sort of again presents it as like, look, it's just about being reasonable and fair and
increasing tuition fees, and, that kind of thing.
But then once you've internalized it, it's like, okay, you've now realised that centrism is just about maintaining the status quo and about control, whatever that status quo might be. So I don't know, it makes me a bit wary that it's like, it's just sort of having a go at all belief systems. But it's interesting nonetheless to sort of pick apart like the reasons why things have ended up the way they have in the world and stuff.
This does sound fascinating.
It's great, honestly. I think you'd really love it, James. It's great. It's just a shame it's only on PC so far.
Yeah, I mean, I've never played a CRPG before, so and I actually honestly even heard of the term before playing this. So what are the other ones that are similar to this? The ones you mentioned earlier in the
so Planescape Torment, as I say, it's about 20 years old now. I need to replay it because I'm doing a Cane and Rinse on it at the end of November. So it'd be interesting to see how that's aged in comparison. And then more recently, there was this other one, Torment Tides of Numenera, which was like, so it's a very sort of high concept fantasy setting, but again, it's if you want to avoid combat, you can pretty much completely do that. And that game is fascinating. Again, just loads of really interesting writing, just loads of like mad sort of sci-fi stroke fantasy concepts. It's set in this world that it's like basically there's like the world has sort of risen and then there's been an apocalypse and then risen again like 7 times over. So it's like this weird setting where people find like ancient relics that are all like high tech, and it's properly interesting. Worth checking out. And then I've still not played it properly, but Divinity 2 that came out a year or two ago and is now on Switch. Apparently that's amazing. So yeah.
Because I mean, for this game came out of from nowhere for me. I mean, I saw. I think it's like, is it Simon Cardy's review on IGN, and he absolutely loved it. I watched that. I thought, okay, this is interesting. But the interesting thing is, I'd actually heard about it and seen this at like multiple Rests in the past. I'm sure it's like Res. I've seen that massive like. I recognise the name, so when I knew it's coming out, I was like, oh, someone from Res, and I remember seeing the artwork at the stands, and actually it really put me off seeing this like bloated sort of red faced like protagonist. It's like didn't look very nice, and I was I didn't even know what the game was about, but I saw that and thought, whatever Disco Elysium is, it's not for me. But which is funny because now I absolutely love the art style, and I think it's absolutely gorgeous at so many points. It's like got like a painterly sort of like style, and
it's weird, isn't it? Yeah,
the scenes are really detailed and really
some of it's really detailed, but then occasionally it's like a pavement will just be like a couple of just slashes of oil paint. But it's weird how well it works.
But so I actually love the art style, and like so many things where you're in dialogue, you'll get like a much more detailed sort of like almost like a painting of the scene, or there's one bit where you get a photograph and you get to see it up close, and it's a really gorgeous painting. But this is a game I've never played a game like this. Now that's not to say there aren't games like this out there. I've just never played them, but it's really amazing how much I really feel part of the role. Like I'm obviously aware of role playing games, and I've played a fair number, but I really truly feel like I'm taking on the role of this lead character. It's like be that from the writing, the way it looks, the systems. It's got more atmosphere in like one line or like one conversation in this game than many games have in their entire game. I think it's just. It's oppressive, but not in a bad way for me. It's really all consuming, and with so much text in the game, I guess I feel like I'm getting much more of it because maybe it feels much more like a book. So I'm learning so much more about the characters and the place and the people and the story. So it's just incredibly atmospheric. And like I said, I wasn't expecting. I didn't know what this game was really about, but I've really taken to it, and I've never played a game like this before, so it's not like I'm even a fan of the genre. But yeah, I really have been like blown away by the atmosphere and the quality of the writing and the characters. I can't wait to see what happens next in the next conversation or the next person I meet. Can't wait to see what's around the corner. See if there's something interesting or funny or freaky or whatever it is. And the locations I've been in, the story and the and sort of like the various quests, and you can have like as many as like 20 or 30 quests open at any one point. You're constantly getting new quests by talking to people, and they say, "Do you want to take this quest on or not?" And you say yes, and then you've got some massive to-do list of like things I could do and people to see.
Although what's really nice is it makes a point of like there's a couple of really sort of long-term objectives, and it makes a point of being like, you ain't going to solve this anytime soon. Like it stays in the notebook, but it's going to be a while.
Yeah, I think the text in like because there's like in your quest log it says, okay, you should see this guy, maybe he's over here, but it's, in brackets it says that this may take a while.
Yeah,
so it knows you're not going to get it done straight away. I'm actually towards the end of day 3, so I'm not too far behind you now, Sean. I don't know how long. I think my game time on Steam is like closer to 20 hours, I think, or 20 something hours to 25 hours. It's not massively long, and I've heard people say they finished it within 20. Other people say it could be like a 60-hour game. Obviously, you can take as long as you want to explore every single nook and cranny. I've been doing as much as I can, so. Because I think I looked at your playtime, and I think I've played more, but I've done less.
Okay, that's interesting.
Or at least that you're further ahead in the game.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get back to it. I've all been thinking about the times I haven't been playing it, and I can't wait to get it played after this and in the week.
Love it when a game does that.
Yeah, it's amazing. And like for this game, whereby I never played anything in a genre before, if I were to look at it, I just probably would just pass it up. I wouldn't think, okay, this isn't a game I play, and I'll move on to something else. But yeah, it's really amazing how much I've really loved it, and it makes me want to seek out other things. I will say the fact that there's no combat is a really massive plus for me, because I'm way less. I'm not like a.
Well, you can get through the game.
Well, that what it helps, doesn't it? It's like it's a bit of stress when I'm like dying a lot or struggling, but it's not about that, and you can just enjoy it. And I'm massively enjoying it, so I'd massively recommend it if anyone's listening and sounds up their street.
Cool. All right then. So, name that game again, so that
because Disco Elysium. Only on PC, and on Steam it's not even out on Mac, so literally it's just Steam on PC. But hopefully you come out to other platforms, because it's a stunner, I think.
Well, let's get to the game that we're all really excited to talk about. Well, I say two of us are excited to talk about, 2 of us are excited to hear about. It's Ring Fit Adventure.
Yeah. I mean,
James,
I was going to say,
James, you start. We've had enough of Sean. Go on, James, you start.
Have I, mate.
Yeah, so I mean, I bought this obviously,
How buff are you?
Say again?
Are you pure buff?
Are you like The Rock now?
No. Yeah, it has so far made no difference, apart from I'm in a lot of pain today.
That is a difference. That's fine.
Because,
that's good. It's progress.
Yeah. You see, again, this is another thing. I only played it a bit this weekend because even though I got it when we went to EGX, after EGX, every night I came home last week and I just felt like I just want to go to bed. I don't know what that was, but I didn't
just exhaustion,
feel like playing
mate. It was a long weekend. It was.
Yeah. I think I was still just like recovering from that, and so I just didn't feel like it. So I tried it this weekend, and yeah, it's really good. Actually, it's really, really good. I'm enjoyed. I mean, I've hardly played it at all, but from what I have played, I think it's fantastic. It's it's very it's got this mode that has done my legs in, unfortunately, which was because they talked about this silent jogging mode. Have you heard about this, David?
Of course, yeah. Where I mean, I would have to use that because I'm in a masonette, and a first floor masonette. It's not going to go down too well if I'm fucking running around in my front room.
Yeah, and this is the problem because if you switch that on, like obviously you can't run, so instead you just have to do squats.
Oh really? Oh fuck.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works. And so you see, I thought, okay, I'm going to switch that on because I don't want to annoy everybody like around me. And yeah, I was in quite a lot of pain after not that long because you have to do squats really quickly as well to like make it like detect that you're running. So in the end, I thought I'm not doing this. It's awful. Like there's no way this is going to kill this for me. There's no way I can do this. I need to do running. So I've been doing this out in the garage instead because because this is the only place I can go where I can run. Over. Without it annoying everybody.
So you got to set up your Switch. Oh, no, you don't. Well, you can just, of course.
Yeah, that's the problem. You see, so I take the Switch with me, and I'm playing this on the tiny 7-inch screen.
Tabletop mode, yeah.
Yeah, which is not ideal. I'm playing in the garage, and also there was a bit of a disaster last week, whereby the freezer got switched, like where there was a power cut and the freezer didn't get switched back on.
Was there a power cut, or did you turn it off to hear the game and then you had to turn it back on again?
There was a power cut and it didn't get it tripped the switch and it didn't get switched on again. Bollocks. So the upshot is the garage absolutely stinks at the moment because food was in there for quite a long time and went off.
How many times does that happen to you? I mean,
it's happened quite a few times, but it was dreadful. Like seriously, it is disgusting. Like you go in there and it's like this absolutely reeks like in here of like rotten meat and stuff like that. It's disgusting. And the thing is, to begin with, I thought it's okay, I can leave the door open, but then the trouble is that like from the garage you can be seen from other gardens, and I was like, I don't want to be sitting here like doing this, like like using this ring and like running on the spot and all that kind of thing. So I thought I'm gonna have to close the door. So I've just been sitting there with this stench of like doing this. But this shows what a good game it is.
You must reek while you're getting some exercise as well, right?
Almost certainly, yeah. I mean, it's the rotting meat and then also sweat and just, it's just disgusting. So it's not very nice, It's like straight away have a shower afterwards. But it's but this shows though how it's still worth playing because even though there's this horrendous smell, I'm still. This is like I went out there this evening to do it again, and it's really fun. It really is. So I mean, the way it works is that you can either do it through like an adventure mode, whereby when you start the whole thing up, you connect up your Joy-Con, you put like the leg strap on, and then it starts like this adventure whereby you like meet this like character which is the ring, like it's like a sort of personification of this in the game, and there's like
have they stuck eyes on that rubber ring thing?
Well,
pretty much
in the
face,
game,
or genie face.
Oh my god.
So it's a little character. It's a bit annoying, but it
sure
does
crack wise, doesn't he?
Give me an example, Sean.
Give
me an example.
Oh, fuck. No, what does he come out? I can't remember. He just makes shit puns and like...
So feel like, if you have any problems, just give me a ring. Does it say
doesn't. That is a missed opportunity.
It's not that bad. But that probably will come up later. But the whole point is then you go through stages.
If it was like proper abusive. Come on, you fat little prick.
I need that, so it would be. I'd be fine with that if they did that.
Bend me, you chubby cunt.
Yeah.
God, sorry.
Have you been watching me work out though?
Yeah. It's like secretly just standing outside your house in Canterbury. Go on.
Stop saying that. But yeah. Anyway. So basically, from what I've played so far, you go through like 3 different stages before you get to like a boss battle. As you go through the stage, you have to run on the spot, which makes you run through the stage. But then at the same time, with like the ring that you're holding, you can like rotate it to like fire blasts of air at things and like collect coins and all that kind of stuff. But then also, as you're going through, you'll end up like having to do random battles. And the random battles is where you do like the actual like exercise like kind of thing. So to attack like the enemy, you have to do stuff like squats, or you have to like lift up your arms and then like bring them down. The whole that kind of stuff. And then if you want to defend, you like put the ring like next to your chest and like you have to like push it in, so that then it like
tense
does, like,
up your abs, don't you? So it's this idea that you just like tensing really hard so you don't take as much damage.
And like before you start the whole adventure thing, it asks you like how much do you weigh, like what's your height, how active are you, and all that kind of thing. And it kind of customizes it, or it seems to customize it for like what they think you should be doing at this stage. And I'd say for me it worked quite well, because I felt quite tired by the time I'd finished like going through like 3 of the stages, and I thought I feel satisfied with this so far. Probably if I increase it, it'd be maybe better. The only problem I had is because of the limited floor space where I was doing this, and because I was playing it in tabletop mode, some of the moves I couldn't really do. Like did you see the laying down one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can't. There's no way I can do it. And also, I'm not laying on the floor of the garage. It's disgusting. Like it is disgusting.
Yeah,
I'm not doing that. So I'm gonna have to do that indoors. Go on.
Don't do it in the garage. You thought of that?
Yeah, but I don't want to. But this is the other thing, is if I do this, right, the kids are just like, oh, what are you doing? And they want to get involved, and it's just, I'm trying to do something serious here. And it's
I fucking hate it when kids show an interest.
No, it's when it's something like this. It's different. Like any other game is absolutely fine, but this, I just want to do this on my own at the moment, because I want to see, like what it's like and everything. And it's like I don't want them like all over it. It's irritating.
Has it got like what we were talking about before it come out? Has it got a sort of more serious non-game mode? And how's that?
That I haven't done yet. It's
Right.
But it does have like a whole like exercises thing. It's also got like another mode whereby you can do it while you're doing something else. Like you can do like some of the exercises just like while you're watching TV or whatever, and then it records what you're doing.
What?
Okay.
Oh, it records. Right. Okay. Sorry. It records what you're doing. It records the stats and stuff.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd seen you play FIFA with the ring between your legs, and then we've got video feed of that. I'm going to need that footage, James.
Yeah. But then it's also got like at the end of every session, it also like checks your pulse as well. Like you put your finger over the like your thumb over the IR sensor, and it works out like your what your heart rate is and everything as well, and like adds that to the stats. But I mean, what do you think, Sean? I mean, I'm quite pleased with it so far.
I really like it. I think it's. I know. Yeah, it's what Dave was asking about. Is there a separate serious exercise mode? Like it is really good how it folds that stuff into the actual game. So although so you're doing this like sort of JRPG style turn-based battle system, but whereby doing the attacks you have to do different exercises and stuff. But for each one, there's there's a little diagram in the corner sort of showing you the proper form and saying like sort of highlighting like where you should be feeling each exercise, like which muscles should be like pulling as you're doing it or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's just really cool. Like you say, that checking your pulse and everything is like quite interesting. So it's getting a gauge on like how hard you've worked.
How's it doing that?
Sorry,
how's it doing that?
Just with the infrared sensor, like James says, you put your thumb on it, so it's presumably it can see, because like a lot of phone cameras now can like see the change in colour in your skin, because it's like it's ridiculous, and they can measure your pulse that way. Right. I think that's how they do it anyway. It's insane. So yeah, like and the way I don't think either of us are far enough into it yet, but there's like different coloured enemies which are receptive to different damage types, right? So I think the idea is so all the different attacks, like all the sort of arm based ones are red, for example, and then like I think sort of ab ones are green, and then leg ones are blue, something like that. Mm-hmm. So I think the idea is you'll have like every fight you'll be like, right, shit, there's like 2 red guys, 1 blue guy, so I need to figure out how I can get like 2 arm exercises in and 1 leg one or whatever. So that's how it ensures that you get a sort of diversity in the exercises you're doing, so you can't just pick your favourite and keep doing it.
Because there's also like cooldowns, isn't there, on certain moves. Like if you Yeah, like you can't just keep using like the one that's like most, does the most damage or whatever. You have to vary it up. But I mean, I also found like with that first boss fight, I found this really enjoyable because it's like I wasn't even really thinking about the fact that I was doing the exercise. I was concentrating on trying to beat this thing, and it was kind of nice. I really like that. And then afterwards, I did feel like, fucking hell, my legs are killing me now, like that. But it was a nice experience.
Yeah, like
to actually go
I'm
through
very cynical about these things as like an actual tool for improving people's health and changing attitudes and stuff. Because at the end of the day, to me, it is a trick, right? Like same as Wii Fit was like. There are plenty of us played and enjoyed Wii Fit, but we're still the size that we are. Do you know what I mean? And as I said before, we've all seen the piles of Wii balance boards in the local CEX or whatever. It didn't necessarily result in lasting change for a lot of people. However, like way more so than Wii Fit, this is just a good game where you have to. It just so happens that you have to exercise in order to do it.
But also, the other thing I think about that, though, is, it's true. Maybe this is like, there's like the gimmick side to it and all that kind of thing. But some activity is better than
absolutely.
nothing.
And
it's just, even if you're just doing something, I think this is probably helpful with that. And also, the critical thing for me with this compared with Wii Fit is this really seems to work. Like, in terms of the hardware, like the detection, I have had no problems at all. It's detected all of my movement, like, perfectly. And that was something that was always quite irritating with, like, the Wii stuff. Like, things often didn't pick up what you were trying to do and stuff like that. It's the hardware is very good.
Like down to the the fact that like so when you're doing the exercises to like deal damage in combat and stuff, again it's analyzing your form, and if you get it perfectly, you do like more damage and stuff. So you, as you're doing like especially like some of the yoga ones where it's supposed to be these really sort of slow, deliberate movements, which actually makes it much harder work. And then as you're like getting towards the end of like a really slow transition, and you see your character start getting fired up because you're going to get like a decent attack out of it because you've done it properly. And it's like, yes, fucking brilliant. And then you like blast it off and like do a shitload of damage or whatever. It's a good feeling. And again, it's
in terms of that sort of stuff. Like I've been sort of thinking about getting it for me and Jill because we both want to do more exercise. Like she obviously doesn't play games.
Yeah.
Like, would it be? Is it still? Would it still be fine for someone who doesn't play games, or what?
Yeah, I reckon so.
What do you think?
Don't see why not.
I think so.
It's like,
and have you tried any like the multiplayer stuff?
I haven't actually. No, is there multiplayer stuff?
Well, no. I mean, in terms of like, can you like say there's two of you exercising, you would swap it? I mean, is there any options?
Yeah,
for that?
I don't know. I think it's pretty much one at a time.
Accounts and all that kind of stuff.
I think every time you.
Well, I think you can. You could have multiple accounts, obviously, but I don't know if you can do it like switching over as you're doing it, because it's most of the exercises are tailored like for whatever your settings are.
Yeah, right, because in the adverts, the trailers, it seemed to make out as like a bit of a party game. It felt like there was multiple people doing these things at once. I wasn't sure if there's like almost like
weird,
a pass
I
the
can't
pad type
imagine
thing.
I can't imagine this is a party game. I really can't. It's
because honestly, you get so fucked playing it. You don't really want to be around anyone else. It's not pleasant.
Yeah, I was sort of hoping there'd be games that maybe like I would try and do something and I'll swap with Jill and so on and so forth. But
no, not really. It is very much like a single player RPG, really.
I mean, the other thing that I think is great about it, though, is the fact that you could take this anywhere as well.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like which is another. I mean, that was the other thing with Wii Fit. It was like you could only do it like in your home, whatever. You're not going to lug a balance board around. But the hardware for this is so good. It's just literally just the ring is
you can
not
take
big,
it anywhere.
heavy or anything. You could, yeah.
And you chose garage that stinks like
it's
shit.
A place where there's any privacy. In it.
Cool.
Reeks.
Sounds decent.
Really
now,
good.
we are 2 hours, 25 minutes into this
fucking
podcast.
hell, so we are.
There's still a huge list of games.
Well, I'm going to delete one of mine right now.
There's two games I want to hear about.
Well, I don't want to hear about Destiny 2.
No.
Can I say that?
I don't want to hear about Destiny 2 either.
I mean, if you've got something, you save that for next week. Is that all right, Sean?
What? Yeah? What? Why would that not be all right with me?
Is that fair? Because haven't you got Destiny 2?
No, it was on mine, but it's only a little thing. Basically, I want to hear about The Witcher 3 and I want to hear about Lonely Mountains.
Yep. Cool.
Do
you want to go, James? I don't mind.
Let's do those two.
Yeah, I mean, I've got very little to say about The Witcher 3 anyway,
Excellent.
so this will be really quick. I mean, I've never played The Witcher 3, and I thought this would be a good opportunity would be to play it on the Switch because it came out recently. And I mean, I started the game and I was really enjoying it. I thought this is this is exactly what I like. You know, it seemed very interesting.
Nerd
but
shit.
But yeah, I could not get past the technical side of it on the Switch, and in the end, I traded it and with the idea that I probably will play this at some point on like PS4 Pro or something. Because,
get the PS4 version, man.
Yeah, because the technical side of this, I mean, in handheld mode, it was okay, like it was kind of bearable. But I do like to play a lot of games docked, and when I was sitting there just playing it docked, and I just thought I could be playing this on a machine that can run this properly. And instead of on this, and it looks, honestly, docked, it looked atrocious. It's like Vaseline all over the screen or whatever, and just, you know, like, again, like massive pop up and, you know, textures like popping in all the time. And I just think it, again, a bit like with Outer Worlds, but like much, much worse. I just thought this is really taking me out of the experience.
That's a beautiful game in places as well, isn't it?
Shame.
Well, that's the impression I got, because from some of the cutscenes and stuff, it looked really good, like in places. And then I just thought, this, like, if I'm walking into like a village, and then I've got like houses popping up and stuff around me, I thought, this is ruining it for me, like in a big way. And I just thought, the portability obviously is nice, but this game in particular, I'd rather play on more powerful hardware.
How far into it did you get?
Again, only about an hour and a half or so.
Oh God, man! Yeah. Could you imagine, like, when? Well, actually, it's quite intense. That castle. I assume you got to the castle where you have to decide whether to bow to the dude or not, right?
Nope, didn't get that far.
Oh right, okay, fucking hell, yeah. That, I mean, if you were disappointed with how it looked and ran that early on, some of the stuff later. That first time you get to that sort of bigger town, sure.
Yeah.
I think you get there, first time you get there is when you're looking for the bloody Baron's daughter.
Oh, yeah.
That town, even on the original Xbox, when I played it on that, it was chugging a bit. So, yeah, I can't imagine what it'd be like.
But it's one of those things where it's like, if this is the only way you can play it, I'm sure that's fine, that's okay. But if you got the choice to play it on something else, I think you probably would want to.
The Wolfenstein effect. That's what it's like on the Switch, isn't it? Okay, cool. So let's hear about this game that you're trying to get us all to play, Sean.
Oh, Lonely Mountains Downhill. Yeah, so we played this at Res and had a bloody good time doing so.
I didn't.
Did you not?
I didn't play it.
I'm pretty sure I didn't.
I thought you did. Never mind. Let's not fall out about it. So it's on Game Pass, PC and Xbox. It is not to be confused with Descenders, but it is also a game about riding downhill really fast on a mountain bike and trying not to crash into things and going as fast as possible. But it's from this sort of angled, sort of top-down view, and it's just fascinating. Like I said this at Res, and it's still the case. It's like it has this fucking supernatural ability to sense how confident you are, right? And because there's obstacles that you can smash into all the time, and the physics are like, it's quite slidey. Like, you know, you've got a brake button, but you know, anyone who's ridden a mountain bike downhill, like just hitting the brakes doesn't make you stop. Certainly not immediately or ever if you're going steep enough. So yeah, and it's so easy to just crash or fall off or whatever. And it's like it knows, like, you know, you're taking things really carefully. You're like, right, cool, this is okay. Oh, fuck it, let's just go a bit faster. And you fucking hit something, like, straight away. And it's like it knows. Like, the second you get that bit of, like, overconfidence, it just punishes you for it. But, like, you know, like, there's plenty of checkpoints, like, down each route. So, you know, getting knocked off isn't like the end of the world. Obviously, so like, it's really cool the way it works. There's a series of mountains with like, you know, like 4 routes down each. So you start off with the first mountain, you do like 2 or 3 of the routes, then you unlock the next mountain, and you can sort of, the idea is you can jump between locations quite easily once you've done a bit of it. But also, if your thing is like you really want to just be like, I'm going to spend like 3 hours just doing the very first route and doing it as well as possible. You do your first run where it's like, just get to the bottom. Take as long as you want, die as many times as you want, doesn't matter. And then you can go back. It's like, right, here's the beginner objectives for this course. So there'll be one which is like do it in a certain amount of time, and then there'll be one that's do it, you know, with like only like, you know, 20 crashes or whatever. So, okay, I'll do it with 20 crashes, and then it's just about, you know, going as slowly and carefully as possible, and then And, and by that point, so you've done the route a couple of times, right, fuck it, I'll go for the speed one now. And you've learned it quite well. And, and there's all different shortcuts dotted about that you can take if you want. But again, there's all this constant sort of risk-reward thing with those. They might just be like a bit tricky, or there's more obstacles to, potentially crash into, whatever. And then so for each course, you've got beginner objectives, intermediate ones, expert ones. But then if that's getting a bit tough, you're like, well, fuck it, I'll try a different course now, or I'll try a different mountain completely. And it's just this really nice, obviously the end game is doing all the sort of intermediate and expert challenges, but it feels like there's a lot of freedom to just do a lot at that sort of beginner level and really get a feel for it. Like, I've only spent like an hour and a half on it, something like that. But it's, for a game that's all about, being quick and skillful, it's strangely meditative as well. Like, it's really beautifully presented. It's got that, that now quite common or trendy sort of low polygon but really nicely lit art style. But
and it's got like characters with no faces like Ash and...
Yeah, exactly. But like there's like really nice attention to detail with like the sound design and like bits of wildlife dotted around and stuff. So if you're not like speed running it or whatever, like it is just really pleasant to just have a little cycle down a hill for a bit.
How are you controlling that bicycle?
So there's two different...
Does it drive like a car, or are you smashing A every 5 seconds?
It's so more like the former. So basically, you've got your two triggers. Obviously, right trigger is to accelerate, left is to brake. A is your sprint, which has like a limited sort of stamina bar, then refills over time. Which again, most situations, unless you really know what you're doing, like if you start sprinting quite a lot, you're probably going to hit something. But again, that's just like a course knowledge thing that you build up over time. And then, in terms of like direction, you can either do it so that, the rider turns in whatever direction you pull the stick, or you can just do it so that it's all relative. So you just push left or right, and he just turns sort of accordingly depending on which way he's facing. The fixed perspective is really interesting as well, because you're cycling down the side of a mountain, but there'll be bits where you're sort of cycling like away from the camera or towards it, and obviously you're cycling towards it, you've got relatively poor visibility. But the courses are sort of really neatly designed, so that's never like that could be really shitty and annoying. But they've obviously taken it into account with the design of the courses. Like, there aren't bits where you just, cycling towards the camera and then suddenly there's a huge obstacle in the way and that, fucks you off. Like, that never really happens. It's just properly exhilarating. But like for someone like me who's quite shit at these things, like I'm having plenty of fun just going through the easy objectives and unlocking new courses that way. And I probably will eventually get to the harder stuff, but if you want to go straight into the harder stuff, you pretty much can. Like, it doesn't really hold you back. So it's great. I'm really enjoying it, and it's on Game Pass, so why not?
I will give that a go this week. It does sound pretty good.
Really good.
That's like my sort of shit. Right, okay, that's it for what we've been playing this week. It's not. We skipped a few because my word. Woo-wee. Disco Elysium bit went on for a long time. Right, should we get to we'll see about that. We will see about that. Two of us won't have played it, so we'll see about that.
Can we do emails?
Tweets?
If you want to email us, you can do so at podcast@thecomputergameshow.com. One example of a person who's done that is Rob Mitchell. He says, "Hi guys, hope this email finds you all well." 50-50. Over the last few years, your podcast has really got me back into console gaming, and I now somehow find myself with an Xbox, PlayStation 4, and a Switch with a huge list of AAA games.
Whoa!
Which I've bought and not yet gotten around to. This year, so far, I've completed Red Dead Redemption 2 and The Witcher 3 Complete Edition, and then a few smaller titles, but I'm currently working my way through both Dark Souls Remastered and God of War. Purchased but still to complete are games such as Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, The Last of Us, and newly released Outer Worlds.
What an amazing lineup of games you've got there. Can you imagine that? I'm just going to be playing some of the best games ever made.
Well,
I haven't played them yet, so here we go.
The next bit. Turns out I don't have enough spare time to play everything I want to and put serious time into.
That happens.
I applaud you all for finding the time to have something fresh to talk about each week on the podcast. My main point of this email is that I have two 8-year-old twin daughters, and they're wanting to spend more and more time playing on the Xbox with me. However, the sort of games they want to play are complete gash, and I find myself getting frustrated trying to help them navigate around Disneyland adventures or help them to adopt some animals in Zoo Tycoon. It's not their fault that the sort of games they want to spend time with me playing are just dump, but how have you all managed managed to get through this painful gaming period in your lives when out of the corner of your eye you can see Divinity Original Sin 2 waiting to be played. I shouldn't moan, as I love the fact they want to do something with me that I know that they know I enjoy, but why do these kids' games have to be so terrible? Thanks for allowing me to rant.
There's a simple answer to this. You just play fucking Nintendo games. You got a Switch.
I can't speak for Disney Island Adventures, but Zoo Tycoon's meant to be good, isn't it? I think, if you're into that sort of thing.
Here's the answer, and you ain't going to like it. Right. Suck it up and play what they want to play.
Yeah.
Because the way I get through it, because Harry, like Kirby, I couldn't stand that game, but I played a lot of it because Harry's absolutely obsessed with it. I just kept reminding myself of when he was 3 years old, and the only thing he wanted to do was push cars along the floor. And that's what I had to do. This is a step up from playing that Kirby game was a step up from that. So, I mean, yeah, if you try and force them to play games that you want to play, it's just, they don't want to play that stuff. They don't want to play it. No, but this is better. Kids don't care what you think is better. They just don't.
Yeah, but there's also like loads of really good stuff, like on Switch in particular.
It doesn't matter if they don't want to play that. They don't want to play it. Well, that's it. They've got no interest.
I've sat through a lot of Mario Party.
Exactly.
I'd rather, but you just do, don't you?
You do. And do you know what? It's not. It is boring. It is dull, and it does get frustrating. But at the end of the day, encourage, don't tell them that it's shit because it's that they find it amazing, and don't squash that. I mean, do what you want. This, your kids. There's no right or wrong, but I mean, for me, I found that if I just gave in and sort of tried to force myself to get into it, I eventually had some sort of a good time. And as I say, much better than, I mean, playing with Charlie at the moment is fucking shit. Playing with a 10-month-old where you are just going, Bebo. He's laughed a bit there. Oh, look, I'm hanging this sort of mesh material over your head. You're having the best time, but fuck me.
This is the thing, isn't it? It gets so much better the older they get. Like, you can do so much more interesting stuff.
I mean, when Untitled Goose Game was a major one in this house because Harry got obsessed with it. Like, all the stuff that he was doing. He weren't even doing the objectives. He was just going around, fucking around with stuff. And some days, I would be sitting there watching crap television and go, Harry, do you want to play Untitled Goose Game? Yeah, I do. There's the pad. Put it on the telly. And I'm just going to sit and watch you play it for a bit. And we would end up pissing ourselves laughing. But that's not an example of what he's saying. He's talking about games that we hate, that they're obsessed with. But I just did it. I got on with it. And if you ignore the fact that you're gaming but not gaming on something that you want to play, then then you can find enjoyment in the dross they want to play. Gets a little bit different when they're older though. Like when they're older than that, they don't even want you to play. But for now, I'm just jumping headfirst into it.
Fair dues. Anyone else? No, good.
No, I mean, no.
Really. Ricky Cartwright says, "Hey guys, just finished listening to the latest episode of Your Life is Strange Spoilercast, and I absolutely loved it. I don't have any friends who play these games, so it's great to hear your thoughts and get an insight into the different choices. I thought you did a fantastic job of handling the discussion around race and Sean's mother, not mine, the one in the game, and treated the subjects with the respect they deserve. I had a couple of questions. Based on what we've seen so far, how is this game stacking up in your Game of the Year thoughts? Is it a contender? Question mark. No? Okay.
It's on my list. It is on my list.
I mean, obviously, we've got an episode to go, but I'm confident.
Yep, same.
He says, would you...
it's on my list in that I've got a big list of all the games I've played, but I think there will be like 3 or 4 ahead of it.
Yeah. Okay.
At least.
Yeah, but you got to remember, I reckon it'll make it onto the list somewhere. Yeah. You got to remember that those games on your list, a few of those will be chosen by other people. Yeah. I mean, you said what was it?
Didn't it come out last year?
Well, it started last year.
The first episode came out last year, but we'd agreed that it could be nominated this year.
No one was nominating last year based on one episode, were they?
It didn't stop David the year before doing that, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
It was what do you call it? Sorry.
Well, like, didn't you nominate Captain Spirit or something for just 2 episodes, hoping the third one would?
Before the Storm was 3 episodes long. 2 episodes were out before that. Before that episode. Why was that the wrong thing to do, Matt?
No. I'm just saying it didn't stop before. It doesn't matter. Let's move on.
No, but we played a larger percentage of that whole tale than you played of Night in the Woods that same year. So
it's not about Night in the Woods. Why did that come up? It's got nothing to do with that.
Well, because you're attacking us for something that you did in an even worse way.
Ricky Cartwright then says, would you consider doing spoiler casts or spoiler sections for other games? Quite often during the review section, you dance around plot points of recently released games. Are there any you'd like to talk about in more detail on, even if it's just for 10 minutes after the credit music of a normal TCGS show?
Yes.
I would love to do it, because it is annoying saying, I want to talk about it, but we can't, and you always have to dance around it. I would love to do more of that stuff. And just...
When was the last time that we all played a game, though, that was story-driven like that we really wanted to get into?
Been a while, hasn't it?
It's not been for a while, was it? Yeah, we did it for Inside, didn't we, back in the day?
Yeah. That's right. Played it 9 months after it came out. Yeah.
I heard that bit again. Do you remember what we did for that?
No.
So we did it after the credits, or after the music credits. We did it after the music, and you left the show.
Yeah.
And we played the music, and then I go, okay, we're back. I'm David Turner. I'm here with Matt Murray. Matt Murray went hi, and then I went and James Farley. And James Farley went hi, and I went and Sean Bell, and there was this weird sound effect that we put to your voice where you went. Boy. It was so weird. The fuck was going through our head when we put that together? Really odd.
Don't remember that at all. But yeah, I mean, maybe there's room to do that. But as you say, it's so rare that we've all played something. I mean, I think when Matt and I finished Disco Elysium, we could probably.
Oh, I'd love to have a chat.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously we were messaging in a week.
Yeah. That'd be.
I'd
really
love to have a bigger chat about that.
Well, when you both finished it, then do it at the end of the credits.
Maybe we will.
Maybe we will.
Yeah,
David.
I reckon that's a good shout.
Yeah, cool.
What's with the attitude? I'm saying you should. It'd be good.
I'm agreeing with you.
That's it for the emails. You got any tweets?
We've got a fair few, yeah. It's at Computer Game Pod on Twitter if you want to tweet us. We'll start with Junker Den B on Twitter. Google on the phone, and they have been listening, and they all agree they need an exclusive to sell Stadia. They've got the money to take up an existing game and make it exclusive, but want you to pick it up. I want you to pick the game. What do you choose?
It'd have to be Cyberpunk, wouldn't it? If they want to make a big thing,
because that's already interesting. That a lot of people are like, "Well, I was going to play it on PC, but I'd need to upgrade it first. So maybe just whack it on Stadia and see it in all the 4Ks and all the textures and that."
People would kick off so bad if anything major.
If that came out only on Stadia, that'd be amazing.
That'd be
in
hilarious.
a bad way, obviously, but it would do. Yeah, people would go mad.
The next Assassin's Creed.
Do you reckon?
Because I've got absolutely no interest. No, we get to pick, right? I've got no interest in that game. I've got no interest in Stadia, so I'm not going to pick a game that I actually want to play. Am I?
Yeah, fair point.
Next Assassin's Creed.
I think that goes against
be the most controversial
the question, isn't it?
What would no?
You got okay.
They're saying, just pick a game that you want as an exclusive on that system.
I guess it's not about what you want, is it? Yeah.
What would be like the most controversial one?
Controversial.
Like what would be the
surely one that's like previously like a known like format exclusive or platform exclusive,
like
rather.
Overwatch or Last of Us? If they just announced Last of Us,
that'd work. Whichever one the From Software are working on.
No, that wouldn't be that controversial anymore.
Grand Theft Auto 6.
There you go. GTA 6 exclusive to Stadia.
I mean, Google have all the money. Just do it. Give Rockstar $1 billion.
Yeah.
I don't care about not making your money back. Do it just to see what happens.
Half-Life 3.
Maybe Half-Life Apple 3. Do it. Ends up on Apple Arcade. GTA 6.
Yeah.
$5 a month.
That'd be good, wouldn't it?
Cool.
Cool. MD Krabuffs on Twitter. How would you react to a VR rhythm action game where the aim is to stop spiders advancing towards you?
No, thank you. No, absolutely not.
How would I react? By not playing it.
Badly.
He also says, we all know TCGS stands for the Creepy Ghoul Spectacular, but do you do Halloween? Do any of you guys do Halloween much?
Not really.
No.
My wife used to a lot,
no.
and I think I've sort of accidentally sort of knocked it out of her because she doesn't really bother anymore, and I think it's just because I'm rubbish at it. I think I've let her
I
go.
want to watch a film or something like that at least, but Chen just hates horror films, so just won't. So it's just.
I think it's because my wife's
I've got
family
no
have always
interest.
made a big deal of they'd always decorate the house and put on costumes and all do pumpkin carving together, whereas I've just never done it. So I think after a few years now, it's just I'll just leave it. It's not.
See, I always preferred Guy Fawkes Night anyway.
Yeah, I love Bonfire Night.
It's much more interesting.
Bonfire Night's wicked, but Halloween I've never really been that fussed. In fact, this year, Bell's Kitchen, Wednesday, 9 p.m. I'm making toffee apples, which is the most Halloween thing I've done in years.
So I went to a party on Saturday night, and they suddenly sprung it on me that it was a Halloween party and it was fancy dress.
Okay.
I had no idea, so I went to the pound shop. I spent £3 on my costume, and I'm now going to post a photo in the WhatsApp group of me dressed up at this party. And I don't even know what I am. It's just, it was three things. Three things that I picked up in the pound. Do you want to describe that, James?
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, you've got. I'm assuming that's a chainsaw.
It's a chainsaw,
and you've got a hockey mask with blood spattered all over it.
Yeah.
So far,
and a
so
black
Jason.
hood.
Yeah.
Over the top.
That was supposed to be a cape, but it was too small for me. And it was all really bad material, so it all just looks like a mess.
And you've got a lovely iron shirt beneath that and some smart jeans.
This is a nice iron shirt underneath and a pair of jeans. And what am I doing with the chainsaw?
You're sawing the head off a little girl.
I mean, she seems all right with it, to be fair. She's pretty happy. So
I've got time for that. She loves me. Right, okay.
I'm quite excited because this is the first year Elodie actually wants to do trick-or-treating. Before, she's been much more happy just to stay at home and give sweets to children who come up and down the street. But now she actually wants to go out, so I'm pumped. I really want to get dressed up, but I'm not sure she wants me to. So, yeah, I'm excited for that on Wednesday.
That's
what
one
would you
thing
go
that
as,
I
Matt?
couldn't do.
Well, I said, whatever you go as, Elodie, I'll go the same. So if she wants to be a big Elsa or a big witch, I'll do exactly the same. But I think she's going witch, but I don't think Jill wants me to dress up for some reason, because Jill hates Halloween, and she doesn't like kids and sometimes teenagers dressing up as axe murderers and stuff coming to the door saying they want sweets. And so
was it the Player One podcast, or was it? No, I don't think it was. I think it was. I think it was Beastcasts this week, where they were talking about when you stopped doing trick or treating. And they were like, we probably stopped when we were 14, 15. And I'm thinking, no, that's way too old to stop. I mean, I was thinking 6, 7.
Because, the whole thing,
15.
trick or treat, as in give us a treat or we'll do something shitty to you, from a 6-year-old isn't much of a threat. But when it's an actual teenager, it's okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's fucking mental.
Yeah, we definitely had teenagers come up and knock on our door last year.
Really?
It's like trick or treat.
I'm not doing it. I've just said about how you should chuck yourself in and just, go with it. It's what your kid wants to do. I won't do trick or treating. I'm not doing that.
No, why not? It's
I'm not
fun.
knocking on
I feel like
someone's
I'd
house.
draw the line at it as well.
I'm not
what's wrong
knocking
with
on
it?
someone's
I'm
house.
quite looking forward to it, actually.
I don't know. I just don't like it.
I mean, for starters, not many people in this country do it or like people doing it. So you've got to get through that.
It was never a thing, was it? Like this, it's only. It really, to me, it always feels like it's been in the last 10 years or so that it's become.
It's
something
longer than that,
people
but
do.
it has been.
I was going to say, I feel like it's
I
much less of a thing now than when we were growing up. I think people are.
No, it's definitely more of a thing.
I never did it as a child, and I don't actually remember many of my mates doing it. But now, maybe we just got loads of families down our road, but there's tons of people on Halloween with little ones with their parents going up and down driveways to ask for sweets. It's quite nice. I'm quite looking forward to it.
Matt, can you dress up as your favourite streamer or something?
Dye
like
your hair
that?
green.
Yes.
Dress up as PewDiePie.
Sean, keep up. I don't think I'm going to dress. I would like to dress up, but I don't think that's going to be happening. But yeah, Halloween. Quite looking forward to it.
I've said the story a million times. I'll say it again. Growing up, my biggest memory of Halloween was the fact that Dad used to put a sign up outside our house that said, "No trick or treating. We're not American. Fuck off." So,
wow.
It's my dad.
I'll tell you what, it is a sincere Halloween recommendation. Watch all of Over the Garden Wall on Netflix, because it's fucking brilliant, and it's sort of tangentially Halloween related. It's really
what
really
is
good.
it?
It's a cartoon about two kids in a spooky forest trying to find their way home, but it is actually like ostensibly a kids cartoon, but actually really fucking clever. Loads of like talent in the cast and stuff. It's great, really good.
Okay,
nice one. Oodles, is Halloween. Most of you, including Dr. Farley, have admitted to being somewhat chicken shit when it comes to horror games. So I was wondering, have you played an unintentionally scary game that weren't designed to be horror?
I
mean,
what?
So,
a game that we found scary that wasn't actually a horror game.
I've ever talked about on the DS that I played this game. So it wasn't a trauma center, but it was a game where you operated on people. It was like a bit of a knockoff.
Oh, I remember Trauma Center. Fucking hell.
It's a bit of a knockoff of that, but like it's a bit more story based and stuff. And there was this one section where I can't remember. It's like you were on holiday or something, and you're like telling stories with people that you're on like with these other doctors and stuff. And one of them tells this story about like this girl who got really bad sunburn or something, but like to the point that it was like basically killed her. And it's just, text, you're just tapping through, like, did it, and it's going like, as the text is appearing on the screen. You're like, yeah, whatever. And then it just out of nowhere just cut to this really horrible drawing of a girl with all her skin burnt off. And it was just, like, absolutely horrific. In this game that, all right, was about operating on people, but it wasn't gory or horrific or anything. And they just chucked that in out of nowhere, and it's absolutely terrifying. So, yeah, there's one.
Horrible. I mean, I've mentioned countless times that Scowl does me in sometimes. It's just a weird little, not phobia, but it's just weird shit that scares the life out of me. I remember freaking out finding out there's a spider boss in Astrobot Rescue Mission.
known survival
when I saw
horror
it
game.
though, because you're in a creepy cave leading up to it, and there's spider webs everywhere, and I was like, I don't like VR things just like coming up to your face anyway. Yeah. The fact that there's a spider, I don't care if it's a cartoon spider, it'll still freak me out. And then when I saw it and it's got lipstick on and a hat, I did kind of think, actually, I should never have been scared of this.
But you got past the spider boss in Bloodborne, didn't you?
Yeah, but it was the tank. It was the tank movement.
Yeah.
It's different. It's weird. There's all sorts of triggers.
Yeah, but those things jump and all sorts.
It's about the movement,
it wasn't
isn't it, Dave,
great.
as much as the appearance.
It wasn't nice, but my ears pop when I freak out about spiders. Yeah, they pop. You can feel it, like there's a weird sort of sound. They're not actually like, it's not like popping, but it's like a weird sort of bassy sound in my ears, and then my head gets hot whenever I see one.
That's just like blood pressure or something.
Probably close to a heart attack or something. It's horrific. But like that didn't do that for me. The little ones in Bloodborne did though for Rom. They freaked me out a bit.
Yeah.
But I managed to get through that.
You did, right. Rex Reese, have any of you given Blair Witch a go? I know horror games aren't particularly your bag, but I played the first hour or two and getting definite Gardens Between vibes. Fun time loop mechanics, more like a puzzle game with a spooky skin. Would recommend.
Yeah.
I mean,
see, I've just read awful reviews of this.
Oh, really?
So,
did it not do well in reviews? I didn't see anything about it.
Yeah, I was interested in this because I was thinking about streaming it, but then I read bad things. So maybe not.
That single tweet, it sounds quite interesting actually. If there's some time loop stuff, you should give it a go, James. I mean, there's no chance of me doing it.
Well, I heard it got quite tedious, but never mind.
Zero chance. Andy Godwin at Big Cop Man on Twitter. Great to meet you guys at EGX and love the live show. Do you think we'll finally see the option to use your own digitized face in gaming via the next gen of consoles? Last gen had both had cameras bundled, but it's still not an option these days via the tech.
This has been a thing for years.
We've spoken about this a lot, haven't we?
It's not about the tech, is it? It's about the fact they don't want people in games that are like doing shooting and stuff like that because they're worried about what happened.
This was a thing like 2 generations ago, right? PS2 was doing this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, the 360, it was all over the 360. Yeah. But then there's also the argument about the text and whether someone owns the rights to it. So there's all sorts of hidden stuff because Rainbow Six fucking nailed it when it was on that. The fact that it worked online as well, so you load it in. If I remember, it used to take about 15 seconds. So you'd look over and see a generic character, and then like James's face will pop onto him.
Just to be clear, Matt, are you seeing this in the doc?
Impressive.
Yeah, James is deleting things.
Unbelievable.
Just one
unbelievable behaviour.
It's okay. Look, it is now 2012, which means it's actually 20 to 1.
We all know how you react if Matt starts changing the news. Jesus Christ!
I know he does it all the time. Getting my own back. Yeah.
Right,
Come on, let's go.
Carry on. Colin Ross Wilson, this is a big for Sean. Really. Hello, Sean. If there was a ruling on the GOTY, this is hypothetical, I'm not suggesting this, that it could be any game you have played in 2019, regardless of what year, what other games would you choose alongside FIFA 17?
Oh, there'd be no contest. That'd be it. I'd be like, guys, I know I get to pick 4, but I only need 1.
There's no need.
No.
I guess you can do FIFA 17 and all the various limited editions.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. Well, I wouldn't know which is the best. Just the vanilla's fine.
Vanilla is fine. That is your motto.
Put that on my fucking tombstone.
Sean Bell, vanilla is fine.
Nice one.
That's almost another episode title as well, isn't it?
There's a lot to go through. Phil Wall, what are the odds that Square Enix have decided to bin off the whole episode thing and it's all for Final Fantasy VII Remake coming out in March? Keeping the whole post-Midgar stuff super secret to blow everyone's mind, or more likely get spoiled 2 weeks out by someone on YouTube? I mean, the fact it's coming out in March and we still don't really know what it is and how long it is and all the episode
they've said like which bit of the story it's up to, right? But it's I think it's way more fleshed out.
I think that's what we were just assuming. I don't think anything's been confirmed. I think they're just going to. I mean, even a whole episode thing. Like in some materials, they said episodic. Others, it hasn't said that at all.
Yeah, because we mentioned this, didn't we? Like it doesn't. Like the box art doesn't say like episode 1.
Exactly.
It's just.
I think this is very unlikely because they probably want people to buy more copies of like different episodes. Why would they do that? It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, and to be clear, it seems
ages
like okay. So if it's the first 10 hours of Final Fantasy VII, it looks like they're fleshing that out quite a lot more. I don't think it's going to be a 10-hour experience. I think it's going to be longer than that.
But how does that 10-hour finish?
Well, they did because
surely it is.
I mean, not a massive Final Fantasy VII guy, but I gather there are key points in the story at which you can then go right, bang, like a little chapter end or whatever. So it could work.
But my God, I mean, how long do you think it's going to be for the next one of these?
Well, yeah, it's taken long enough to. But then now they've figured out what it is. Maybe that it's relatively simple to get the rest done.
If it takes 3 months for Life is Strange to come out, what this is going to be like? This is going to be next gen for episode 2.
Yeah, one every gen.
Yeah, ridiculous. I mean,
good.
It won't be monthly, that's for sure.
It.
Or maybe they'll truncate it. Maybe they'll skip massive sections between parts 1 and 2 or whatever. Who knows?
Surely they're not going to skip parts of the game. That'd be insane.
Maybe. Depends how much work it's turning out to be to do the whole thing. It wouldn't surprise me.
Doing a really good job. So yeah, I mean, surely that's like at least a year out. Whatever the next episode is.
Yeah, you might be right. And then obviously another year we're well into next gen. So that's
exactly. We're going to end with Ben Simon at Scientologist. More of a discussion point in the form of a question. Man and Madan has been disappointing, to say the least. Which games would Matt and James rather be playing cooperatively that they've not done before on their Friday nights?
Literally anything else.
Yeah.
Really? Has it been that
bad? I've not been able to watch the game after we changed.
Okay.
No, it's just really boring. Like, really boring.
That's such a shame.
There's not even any scares, and what scares there are, it's just like, I think that was supposed to be a jump scare.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, we played again on Friday, we said, okay, let's not tell each other really what's happening on each other's screen. But then, I don't know, it just felt really dull. It's a shame, really. We were thinking, do we even bother finishing it? But James looked into it, and I think we might. We'll probably get it done in one more stream, so so we're going to get it done. But yeah, I'm really disappointed. It's really not working out at all.
It's just really tedious, and like it's just not interesting at all.
Shame.
It's such a shame because it's like their other output has been really good, and this is just
because after like how much you'd enjoyed Until Dawn, and then holy shit, they've done one that's co-op. Like that is that sounds like a guaranteed good time. Shame. So so what's next?
Shall I say what I'm going to play next or not?
Yeah,
go for it, mate.
All right. Well, I'm going to be presuming I can get the technology all set up, because I've got it all. It's going to be Night Trap.
Oh yes, I forgot about that. Yeah, no, that's going to be good.
That's going to be
Have you played it before?
I've never played it before.
Okay.
So
have you seen many? Of course you have.
I've not actually. I've not really watched much about it.
You
don't
know about the song.
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
What do you mean? You've heard of what?
Well, I've heard that there's a weird song sequence in it.
Right, okay, yeah. Okay, cool. All right, as long as you've not seen it, that's all good.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, are we done?
Yep.
I think so.
We should talk about streams and stuff. So if you're listening to this on Wednesday, Sean is doing a special Halloween edition of Bell's Kitchen tonight, 8 p.m.
Spooky.
on Twitch. What are you making? Toffee apples, you said?
Spooky.
Toffee
Amazing.
apples, mate. I don't know how long it's going to take. It might literally just be like 20 minutes. I'm not really sure.
Do you know anyone likes toffee apples? Do you know someone that actually likes them?
Do you know, I can't remember when I was last at a thing where they were available.
They're like rock, aren't they? Who likes rock? Like, you buy them all, look, it's got names all the way through it. Okay, fine, but... But
you feel like you're
shit?
taking like your teeth into your own hands, don't you? Because it's just like
it's like when you're a kid, they're relatively disposable, but as an adult, it's like careful.
Horrific.
Yeah. Anyway, that's tonight. If you're listening to this on Wednesday, Bell's Kitchen, 8 p.m.
Go on, James.
No, it's just the way that Sean said that. It sounded really funny. It's like, oh, careful.
On Friday, James, I'm going to join James to get Man of Medan hopefully done. Friday night, that's 9. I'll be playing Sekiro from 8:30 on Sunday, and then on Tuesday, Sean is hopefully back for Sean Bell Journey Tuesday night from 9. They're all on Twitch.tv.
Might be the last one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm right near the end, so I'm in April. Turns out.
Oh, right, yeah, you're not far at all. Fantastic. Well, you can watch all them on Twitch.tv/The Computer Game Show, or just go to our YouTube channel to watch anything you might have missed previously. We're on. You can give us Twitch Prime subs if you got Twitch Prime or Amazon Prime, or Patreon. Was that really a minute?
Who said there was a minute? It was about 8. So go on, Twitch Prime. Go on.
So patreon.com/TCGS, and we've got thecomputergameshow.com for everything else.
Cool. All right. Well, have a lovely week. Thanks for living it. And we'll see you next week. Sorry, we're all very tired now, aren't we? But we'll have plenty to talk about again next week.
Do you want me to talk about singing in an American accent again?
What?
Yeah, there's at least 15 minutes of that.
Remember on the what?
The bonus show.
What did you say?
I remember I said, I've got some emergency topics, and one of them was just talking about people singing in American accent.
We'll catch you next week.
$5.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Careful.